On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO. That time I don't think I had enough G's. Sorry, welcome to the allergy zone. I'm not having a great day, but the show's here anyway, because we're going to talk about Ordeal Call 1, Paper Moon, and also the Bleached Earth, and also, it happened, Ordeal Call 4, more Summon Banners. All this and more on today's Let's Talk FGO. I'm one of your hosts, Omega. With me, as always, is Lucky. There's a lot of jokes I can make here, but like I said, I'm feeling a little too grody.
He's a little too grody. So I hope everyone else is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka this is the vibe check. And what we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes. We will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and the AIM versions of the game. So anyone not wanting spoilers, remember this weekend is Mother's Day. This amuses me for reasons.
Yeah. As always, doubling down on the spoiler warning because we're going to do a pregame later. I'll come back to that. But also, to let you know how much like intro jokes I don't feel, to let Lucky do his intro uninterrupted, I had to kill my mic for a second so I could cough.
Yeah, I heard the mic click.
Yeah, the clicks stay in usually, but...
Yeah, I was wondering if it was like a sneeze attack or a cough attack.
No, it was a little bit of a cough. I took an allergy medicine today, so the sneezing has been less, but I'm still got a little in the chest. The boys know, Thursday was very funny. Blah. This is Let's Talk FGO, a podcast about FGO and other stuff every week. It's brought to you by our lovely patrons. We'll talk about them later, and also viewers like you. And actually, I'll do a little promo with a friend. Usually I promo what we're doing later in the week at the back end, but I'll bring up other stuff because I would like to remind everybody who's listening to this right now, we stream stuff several days a week, but Monday is kind of freeform Let's Play streams. I'm in the driver's seat. We're doing Slide 2 right now. Yeah. And you should check out those streams because in the first stream of Slide 2 we did, somebody gifted 10 memberships. So if you want free channel memberships, you gotta show up. Get in there. But that means we will move on to check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, unless you're Lilith. Mash!
Senpai! 起きてください.
Because it is time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai Rex for pro tips. Number one, I don't know if this is a pro tip or more of a warning, but man, that's a lot of foes. You better be ready. There's going to be a lot of foes.
Oh my god.
There's so many of them. I got some stats on this, but definitely later I'm like, man, I should have double checked how many. Because it was 4 a.m., there was a lot of foes.
I think it was I don't know, there might be some more hidden, but I think it was enough to just fully 10k, like, 4 servants straight up, I think.
Yeah,
so that would have been like
quite a lot.
Because I think it would have been like 50 per servant, so like 200 each? I'm not entirely sure.
All I know is that I couldn't fit them all multiple times.
Yeah, no, 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, after maintenance, I was scared. I was a little scared, I'm not gonna lie. There was a lot of stuff.
Big Numby. Big Numby become Big Numby. No, I think I basically put, like, almost every one of my selected servants to, like, 1k if they weren't already. Yeah,
no, the 3-star foes, that was like, oh god, I almost want to say like 500 each. I'm not entirily sure. Again, I don't remember.
Go ahead.
Like, unfortunately, I was able to get all the foes out to the guys, but man, I was again looking at them just like, because I went acquisition, went earliest. There was a lot of silver and bronzes that didn't have, like, any foe on them. I was just like, I got hit in the Kokoro again.
Yeah, I was going to say legitimately, once again, reminding that after maintenance, it was 4 a.m. my time, Eastern time. It legitimately took me the better part of an hour to just cycle through all the foes so I could accept all the foes. Like, it was a lot, but we're juiced. And also, a slightly more pro tip, but this is related to stuff that is going on right now. But hey, you get 3 storm pods a day. You can hold 9. You don't have to use exactly 3 a day. You can hold it to 9. If you do go for more than 3 days without spending some storm pods, you're technically missing out, so you may want to make sure that you burn through 3, every so many days. But you can stock up a little if you're planning on spending apples or something. And that ends our segment for pro tips and takes us to Records of the Throne.
So, that's me. But this is not me really having Records of the Throne. This is just me, like, relating what I did with all those Go Foods. Because, bro, I 2K'd Summer Kama, Queen of Light, Queen of Darkness, Summer Mbuki, and put a big dent in Tiamat. Like, this is why I'm pretty sure it's enough for 4, because I'm pretty sure the number that I got to Tiamat is where I was on Summer Kama before this influx. So, I think they gave you, like, that's why I think. So, in there, but it was a lot, and just, like, my, I didn't actually meant this, right? I also, just today, also got my Summer Mbuki to 120, so she is stonks. I think she has like 18k attack right now.
It's a lot. It's a lot of attack.
It's a lot of attack, and it's real useful. Let me tell you that. it's not perfect, but I almost got a three turn team for the Vegas node on the Bleached Earth, which is very nice. Sometimes it's 3 turns, sometimes it's 4 turns, but it's effective.
Yeah, I didn't actually jot down, but doing a little back math, definitely took my Summer Ibuki to 2K because she's like full up and is one of the units deadass that I use the most. And then also like Morgan is 2K and Space Ishtar is most of the way to 2K. And that was just because I stopped using gold foes after I actually was able to accept all the gift of foes, so I didn't utilize all of them right away.
No, after the gold foes, that lit a little bit of my fire under my bum, because we'll talk about it later, other things later, but we are at half AP Embers right now, and I just did feel that itch. I'm like, I think I started Summer Ibuki was like 116. I was just like, nah, I'm gonna finish that shit up. But yeah, so all those servants 2K'd Fode, and let's see. Also decided to Grail Castoria to 100. I think Castoria is like my second highest bond Grail, bonded servant, because I think first is Tomo. She broke into 14 recently, so we're on her last node. I think Castoria is like 12 or 13. Same with my Tomacat, because I use my Tomacat in a lot of my Ember farming, and my Castoria Tomo team up is rock solid. Those two have been best friends forever, so that's super impressive in my books anyway. So yeah, no, I decided to give her a little bit of love because she does do the work, and it's important to support those who support you. Other than that, though, I did note this down. I was able to get 43 boxes in the Lotto. I would have done more and should have done more, but I was slow in troubleshooting FGA because be me, be lucky, be a filthy casual who uses FGA to smooth brain farming. But FGO has recently been having FGA. Did I say FGO? No, FGA has recently been having problems where I think it's somewhere. Like I actually looked this up. I think it's like somewhere in like the accessibility code or somewhere. Like something trips and it just shuts off the program. And the creator has basically stated there's nothing they can really do about that. So, but I was able to smooth out the wrinkles a little bit so that at least will work longer. But I didn't do that in time, so there were several hours I thought FGA was going. It was not. So fortunately, we are. That is not our last Lotto. We still have a couple more Christmas Lottos coming up. I don't know. I don't think anyone mentioned having another like fest or anything like a Nero Fest, Scotty Fest.
Is there another one? I think there might be, but I don't remember.
I do not remember off the top of my head, but I do know we still got Christmas Lottos. If I remember correctly, the Summer Lotto sort of rerun is a mini Lotto where you only get so many boxes.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. I may not. Lucky is fallible, and his memory is like Swiss cheese. Please keep the mice away from me. Oh, it is infinite? See? Look at that. Lucky's wrong immediately.
Have cheese it.
Cheese it!
Also, as patrons in chat asking, what actually got you the foes? I don't fucking know, man.
Well, it was a combination.
I just tapped the rewards and get rewards.
I am pretty sure it is a combination of skills levels and bond levels, as well as ascensions and overall levels for your servants.
Yeah, I think the foes were from a permanent tab, not the limited tab.
Yeah, no, if you look under your event tab now, will be actually more entries now, which are basically skill levels. Yeah, Robin has it here. A combination of bonding, level, ascending, and skilling for every single class at the standard 7.
Yeah, which is
that is what
class score type rewards, even though they don't always give just class score stuff.
No, they did get a lot. We'll definitely talk about those later, but I basically dumped all my class score into Caster because Lucky first and foremost is going to support his Shrine Foxwife.
I started on Berserker because that's probably my most used class. I haven't gone Turbo Ham yet though because you do need mats.
You do. That's. Luckily, I've already run out of my.
I think they're consistent across classes. I
believe so, but for me, I definitely lean more on certain classes than I do others. So I think I don't actually have anything in Oh, someone posted a graphic. Sick.
Yeah, the wiki.
I don't think I have any caster rewards left, but I still have quite a few saber rewards left. Same with Berserkers, because I put a lot of effort into using casters and Berserkers. Who fucking knew? But yeah, we'll probably talk a little bit about this more later. I'm pretty sure some of you have some questions too. I'll finish up my mailbag. Yeah. I'll finish out the record from Thrones. Like in the Lotto, I did get 6 CE drops though, so I was able to have 2 MLB CEs, which really did help at the end. Jesus, people are using my summer BB again. I swear that was like my most popular support used. Oh, also I'll put this out here. Loki's accepting friends again, so if you want to use like a 120 Summer Buki or a 120 Tamamo, let me know. My user ID should be in the description of the video. I got yep. Yeah, right now I'm at 90 of 118, so yeah, I got like 28 slots. No, 38. No, 28. 28. I can math. 28 slots left.
I literally just closed FGO, so I can't check what my friend slots are. I have some number, I think, free though. Also, shout out to me. Technically a record myself, but I was just double checking, so I said I just closed FGO, and I had like Ishtar most of the way to 2K pre this. I think for HP she was like at 1800, so I finished that off real quick. But that finishes records. No evils. We're just chilling. We're moving on. Did you finish your master missions?
Moving on.
Take a little sip of water for my dry ass throat real quick and say, if
Hydrate.
you want to finish your master missions this week, you need to defeat 3 chaotic servants, defeat 3 evil servants, acquire 15 EXPs, any kind, then acquire 30 EXPs, and then defeat 20 enemies, not counting servants or certain story bosses, and then 40 enemies, not counting servants or certain story bosses. So, grind it out, bud.
Get it done.
Chaotic evil should be pretty easy to grab as early as either Fuyuki or Orleans, and then everything else just do anything. Embers, probably. It does specifically say servants, so, you will have to crunch something in the grind zone, but I'm sure that Training Grounds or, like I said, Fuyuki or Orleans can do that real easy.
Yeah, no, I just double-checked my missions. I have no caster missions. I have 1 Berserker mission left over, though.
Juice. Spending those points. Getting those goons. Mm-hmm. So, let's move on to Skelligrams. First of all, shitload of JP stuff. Because, of course, JP is progressing as normal. First, the Assassin Weekly Campaign 2. Start of the 5th goes until the 12th. So your banners for this are the Shuen, Katadanzo Jekyll, Kama, Summer Ushi 100 Faces or 100 Personas, Koyan of Light, Python, Kotaro, Huyan Okitan, that's Summer Okita, and Serenity, Tez, Lakusta Izo, Kojin, Hasan of the Shining Star, and Jinkei. And yes, that does mean that the servant we just had is still the latest assassin. But also this comes with all the usual stuff. Once again, not getting into the detail because they do these every week, and we'll be doing so for at least the rest of this month. But there's a trial quest, there's extra damage and bond for this class of servants. You can access their appropriate training grounds all the time. Should be like half AP for some of that stuff. So lots of attempts to get you to juice up your specific servant classes. But also we got the Trinity Metatronius Summon 3 on the dot. Starting the 7th, going into the 21st. This includes brand new 5-star limited, I believe, Berserker Lilith, and also King Ashoka's back, and the new CEs. And also to correspond with this, because I will say this is a thing that I'm not the hugest fan of that they keep doing, but they keep doing that thing where they tuck more rank ups with the later summon banners. Not at the start, but later. Usually after you've done all the content in a week. But new Angra rank up. It's an upgrade to his 3rd skill, so I do believe you can only do it if you've done his interlude, the Bon 10 one. But yeah, it improves his 3rd skill even more. But also to kind of keep, keeping on and killing time. Evocation Festival number 13, starting the 8th, going until the 22nd. Your 3 new welfares for this are Summer Davinki, Iori, and Satanta. So pretty good spread there.
I do love the
login
artwork.
bonuses for this. What was that?
I do love the artwork. It would be on here, but unfortunately my next wife is taking the spot.
Yeah, oops, Lilith. Maybe next week.
Maybe.
Because even if Ordeal Call fires right away, Durga won't be out yet.
Yep.
It'll just be Dordana and Bima. But for Evocation Festival, you've got login bonuses, you got limited time master missions and stuff, get your special C, all that stuff. And of course, that means that all the related welfares are getting double XP, double suck chance, half AP dailies during this time period on all. They get damage up and bonds ups, all this stuff. Which is also funny because, once again, they're still dovetailing. You're going to have like several days of all the stuff left over from Assassins as well, and the next class, and so on and so forth. But also, we've got the lead up. They're talking about the Grand Graph system and the Grand Duel pre-release campaign. What's the Grand Duel? I don't fucking know yet. It's a pre-release. But they've got cool logos and stuff. Anyway, starting the 9th, ending the 23rd. So basically, yes, if you're following along, chat, that is Trinity Metatronius Banner the 7th, Evocation Festival the 8th, Grand Graph the 9th. They just keep them coming. So clear the Ordeal Call prologue for 10 Saint Quartz, clear because they're rolling this out class by class, starting with Sabers, clear daily missions and daily quests to get exchange tickets for Saber material. So these work just like the normal exchange tickets you get for mats, but these are the special ones. They're the orange kind like you usually get during Lottos and stuff. And you can exchange this for Saber-related materials. Saber statues and Saber skill gems. This fucking rips. I wish we could do this all the time. But also, hey, remember how I keep talking about extra EXP and shit for servants? So for all Sabers, during this campaign period, double XP, triple suck chance, training grounds open all days. So just more and more and more and more. The Grand Duel seems to be a quest to unlock the grand selection for each class. So I'm going to guess something akin to like advanced quests type thing. There will be a specific quest you do which unlocks the ability to commit to your Grand Saber and so on and so forth. And it also means that there is going to be another Oops All Sabers banners going on. I think somebody said there's like 20 banners going on right now in JP. So like definitely giving you all the materials you need to be like, hey, you want to lock in your Grand Saber? Well, here's a raid up banner so you can get those extra NP copies if you want them. I do not believe you need extra NP copies for the Grand Duel. I believe the requirement is only 10, 10, 10 on the original 3 skills. App and skills don't count. And you do need to be level 100, so they need to be grailed. But they don't have to be grailed to 120, and so on and so forth. But yes, presumably when that actually, like, the dual part drops and you can actually select, we'll have more info on the system. But for now, it's still, like, set up. Maybe they call it Grand Duel. Maybe the quest is you can only take one servant, and it's the one you want to grand in. Which is why they're doing all this shit to enhance yourself. Oh, yep. Sorry, somebody just posted the image. Yep. Nope, that's like 20 of those fuckers. Look at all those pickups, Jesus. They're color-coded.
There's so many!
Okay, so it's not a 1v1 duel. We think it's, you can only take Sabers, and the servant you want to grail has to be in the party somewhere. That sounds fun. I like these little things. Like, FGO is weird sometimes, but I do appreciate their, like, dedication to, like, no. You can't just get units, buddy. You have to, like, use them. It's like the free SSR. They're like, hey, your free SSR fucking goes away if you don't get them to, like, Bond 5 in 3 months, bud. You're cooked. We will not play these games. You cannot just select the best meta unit. You have to actually use them, bud. But that's JP. We'll continue to have more info on you for a while and see where that's shaken up. Now it's time to turn on to EN, where everything's Ordeal Call all the time, baby. First of all, the Ordeal Call release celebration campaign starting the 8th going until the 14th. We have unlocked the class score, so you can improve your classes. We start with just the original 7 core classes, and these will expand as we unlock Ordeal Call technology, I guess. First up will be Alter Egos when you clear Paper Moon. Spoiler for my pregame later. Yeah. And basically, it's real funny because, like, somebody in the Patreon chat just said as well, like, you know, we're closing up, like, major story stuff for FGO. We're hitting the 10-year milestone. It's like a big deal. The class score looks just like a normal, like, I almost want to say, like, what you expect a modern, like, gacha game skill tree to be like. Because it's, like, in space and stuff.
Yeah. No, this is one of the things, like, I was definitely thinking about as I was using it. I'm all like, this has a nice modern feel, but it feels like it's just literally been bolted onto an old game, and it gives this weird sense of disconnect.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, they've got, like, very shiny graphics and stuff, but you look at it and it's just like, yeah, that's a fucking skill tree, you know? Got a little ball in the middle. And yes, I think everything does start... No, there's a couple of different shapes, it looks like.
No, so, like, I do like it, and I think it's neat, but it's just one of those things of, like, FGO has just keep adding things so they can keep increasing their power levels a little bit, and it's just getting a little weird now. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, but no, I am ready for FGO to have its grand finale. Slowly drop the curtains, and we can maybe move on to our next new modern iteration of FGO, whatever that may be.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of fun stuff. It's the class score is clearly meant to be the kind of thing where, like, you start small potatoes, as it were. Like, you know, like your first notice shit like, ooh, 4% extra crit damage on arts cards specifically. But there are some funny ones in there later, like you can get 10% more effectiveness out of using command spells kind of shit, or like get a 10% attack up, I think, when you get hit with a spell, stuff like that. So, like, it's cute. It's got some good stuff. But you are absolutely right, though, Lucky, talking about, like, all the shit we've done. Like, chat, you remember when Enhance used to be, like, 5 things?
Total?
Yeah, no, like, you barely had to scroll. Now, like, there's, like, the equivalent of, like, 2 pages in this. Yeah, no, I think there was, like, because it would have been servant skills, craft essences, ascensions, and just palingenesis. Which wasn't even the game at base, by the way. That was a thing they added later. But because it was before Epic of Remnant, we got it because basically the version of the app that we got in English was, like, the equivalent of, like, the middle of EOR. So, like, they have indeed done a lot to improve all this stuff and kind of spread it out. But yeah, so you get class score for all that. It's a fun time, but it does use mats, not just new mats, but old mats. Though, again, like I said, there's a conversation in our Discord, like, literally just now about sending units to 120, right? And I commented that that's a thing that will technically get a little easier as we go on, because you're going to get these campaigns like the special class summoning banners and the grand graph setup and stuff, where they're going to be like, oh yeah, no, we're going to give this class exactly double EXP and, like, triple suck chance. And it's like, well, if you haven't 100'd or 120'd a saber before, now's a great time to do it in JP. I think similarly, like, if you're concerned about spending, like, statues on class score and stuff, which you might be. I know a decent number of people were looking at the Lotto being like, damn, need more statues. The fact that they're going to do this little, like, exchange period thing where you can, you know, turn tickets into statues, it's in there. Oh, also, we got a fuck ton of QP. Yeah, it's true. And you can get more. Who needs dailies? We've got Bleached Earth. Because that's our next news note, which is Storm Pods added and Bleached Earth quests available. Because you can only do so many a day. I haven't tried them all out. But one of them, the Western American node, is really good for QP. And also, all of these are really good for Bond. So I'm sure as we kind of poke and prod them more, we'll have more to say. But it's basically like a new tier of dailies, because you can, like, you get new Storm Pods every day, right? So it's like a new daily. The difficulty's high, but the rewards are better. But we have both permanent and temporary class score missions. I don't think anybody really made a big deal out of it, but it was included in the news. The level cap is now 170. They raised the level cap again.
I was just getting close. I think I'm at, like, 157 right now. Yeah, I just hit that.
Yeah, no, they bumped it up. And like I said, nobody's really talking about that because there's so much other shit going on. But yeah, they raised the level cap again. And just, holy shit, so many rewards. Mats. There's so many shit to tabulate. There was a huge influx of EXPs, big amount of grails, grail fragments, bond grails, loads of QP, all kinds of other shit.
Yeah, I think it was like around 500 million QP that I got.
I believe that was a similar amount that I got, yeah. It's a shitload of QP. I got like 9 grails, and then probably another grail fragments to do 9 more grails. Like, I want to say 20-something bond grails.
I should have been, like, honestly, if I had been smart, I would actually be thinking about numbers, but I was just too overwhelmed. I was slightly scared, y'all.
I mean,
they kept doing the reward screen over and over again. I was just like, ah!
I mean, you open it up, right? You see your little clipboard, and it's like, oh, like 150, and I'm like, damn, that's a lot of missions. Click it, and then you're just like, boom, 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 boom. You know, open up my gift box, and my gift box is now like 150. I'm like, huh, it's 4 a.m., y'all. What are you doing? It's the middle of the night.
4 a.m., you're drowning in math. They changed the music everywhere. Everything is much more serious right now. They even changed the music in the summoning screen.
Yeah, you know, we've got revamped OST again. Speaking about, like, UI updates, like the Bleached Earth is like, it's a little thing that you move around, like it's a 3D asset that you actually, like, rotate.
I do kind of wish that the Ordeal Call wasn't its own little separate thing. I'm gonna be real. Like, this is what I think I talk about when things are, like, tacked on. I think I would have much rather if they had somehow changed the UI to have the Earth just kind of be our hub thing that we can rotate to get to things. But now to get to Ordeal Call, I have to click on another button to open up another thing. It's a little, yeah,
it's neat, but I kind of wish that they just, like, maybe nested it inside Chaldea Gate or something. Because, like, I don't even know what I mean, technically it's the simulators, I guess, but, like, I don't even know what Chaldea Gate is anymore, right?
Right.
We've blown up, like, 2.5 Chaldeas. And also, talking about Ordeal Call, like, release, Ordeal Call was released, so also there is, I don't even know what to call it. Like, it's not the Ordeal Call prologue, but there is a story node to explain everything, right? It's like the
no, I'll call it Ordeal Call introduction.
Yeah, because I
like,
mean, they don't call it the prologue, but it is like a prologue.
Oh God! What would the Yeah, no, I guess the scene at the end of LB7 would have been, the Lost Belt epilogue. I guess the best
Yeah,
way to put
it's
it.
the epilogue, or even, oh man, what would we call it? There's like, what's the technical term for the teaser? Because that's kind of what it is. It's kind of like, you're sitting through the credits of a Marvel movie and you get the teaser for the next movie. But yeah, now we've run through and it's like properly introduced, and we do like a recap, which is probably pretty funny if you're like catching up on story later and you can immediately go from the prologue into the Ordeal Call setup. But for us, it's nice to get a reminder. There's some very interesting things there. Da Vinci basically shows up and be like, okay, we asked Trismegistus about this. Here's what it had to say. Here's a bunch of keywords. And I'm just like, I don't like these keywords.
Yeah. I can't remember him, but I remember looking at him just going, I don't like this.
It's like, whatchamacallit even? Actually, I'm kind of surprised. Sorry, I just tabbed over to the spoilers thread, which is minimized because people haven't posted it in like 9 days. I guess everybody's dying too much to all the foes. But the spoiler threads, the Ian spoiler threads got dormant, but I'm sure somebody would remember to screen cap it in there. Do not screen cap it and post it in Patreon chat, because this is not a spoiler zone. We will get the gun. But, like, there is a run of keywords, and we do kind of, like, explain the setup, which is, we built a new table for a new graphic. The table tells us when we are foundation enough. But also, I do kind of like that, like, the crew is just, like, yeah, we've just been wandering around. We haven't found shit, man. We've built a mechanism to, like, figure out when we're closer to our goal. We don't know how to actually make number go up. I can't remember which character says it. It might be Sion, might be Da Vinci. We might have even said it, but it's like, well, they call it an Ordeal Call, right? So I guess we'll just get a phone call, We'll just be summoned to the adventure. So that's cute. I mean, at least we don't have to wait. We know we don't have to wait too long, because they're already, like, doing the preamble for the next one. And actually, that's a really good segue as well. Because, also, English, Ordeal Call the First, Zero Compass Inner Domain, Paper Moon, pre-release campaign, starting the 8th, going into the 28th. And we already had the social media campaign started a couple days before Ordeal Call dropped. Yeah, Gordolf is like just, singularities, those can't be as bad as Lost Belts, and everybody's like, I mean, technically, they are bad. Gotta get more sand, baby. Getting sand will get easier once they do the Bleached Earth update, but we gotta wait a little while for that one. But yes, for the Ordeal Call pre-release, we have limited time missions and logins as usual. Log in, get some extra stuff. If you're not caught up on story, it's 0 AP through LB6, literally free. LB7 is 1/4 AP, so they're like giving you all the tools to catch up. If you've completed LB7, half AP Embers, as Lucky was mentioning earlier. And we do have some banners to go with this, so it's Nito Alter and Tenno and Cuckoo and Tenno banners. It's only been like 5 months, but here we are. Well, luckily, like, AP-wise, catching up is really easy, because, like I said, it's literally 0 AP through LB6. And I don't think you need to actually do Trom to get into LB7. Like, you should be I would recommend doing Trom before LB7, because the intro to LB7 is literally based on the cliffhanger from Trom, but, yes, Robin puts it best in the patron chat. No, but you will be confused. Oh, yeah, and I don't think I put this in my notation, but we did get a rock refresh. You can get your leyline stones back, which is good because there's a story chapter in a week. And that is the end of my news items. If you want to know more about Paper Moon, I'll talk about that in the pregame after mailbag. But yeah, generally, if there's anything else you want to be talking about Ordeal Call, which I also, branding notice. It's a little weird that the story chapters are called, like, Ordeal Calls numbered, but also we have, as Lucky mentioned, the Ordeal Call, like, menu and interface for the Bleached Earth. So, like,
The UI's a bit cluttered, y'all.
Ordeal Call 0?
0.
I don't know, yeah, if there's anything you, like you would have mentioned about, like, Bleached Earth stuff or otherwise the Ordeal Call setup.
I think again, I like it. I like, rotating the map. I like having, the missions on there that I could pull up. So I would actually like to see this kind of system used as, like, for the base game, instead of just having, like, our drag down mission thing. Like, if we could just rotate, the planet to go to our, like, singularities and lost belts and all those other events. I thought that would have been, like, really cool, but it's just one of those things of, like, the game is almost 10 years old in JP, and they didn't necessarily have the ideas, staff, technology, resources to do those things back then. And it's kind of hard just to, overhaul the entire system to do that. So I can kind of understand why they keep bolting things on, but I think it's also why I'm becoming more and more adamant about, FGO ending. so we can do something better. At least,
at the very least, like needing a sequel app, yeah. Like technically, you wouldn't necessarily have to like end of service FGO. We've talked before about Girls Frontline and Girls Frontline 2, right? Like technically, Girls Frontline 1 is still open and still like doing updates to catch everybody up.
Like has some sort of memorial mode, legacy mode. Maybe they don't do any. Maybe they don't have any new parties, but at least keep the lights on.
Yeah, and make it so that you can, if you're not done with FGO, like you see FGO 2, literally, right? Like you see FGO 2 drop, and you're like, oh shit, I never finished all of the FGO 1 story, right? Like the ability to actually go back and play all that stuff, catch up,
No, they should definitely like keep it in Wayne's, like even if they parse trim it down and stuff, they should keep it a lane somewhere. But no, like as years go on, people's sensibilities and the technology we can do and the fun little ideas we can work with all change with, and games should change with them, I think.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you said, right? If FGO had come out like today with all the content it already had, like it wasn't a gacha game and they just been in the tank, right?
Yeah.
I bet you would be able to move the like Caldea's projection of the Earth or the paper moon or whatever to where the singularities are, because like there's an animation for like when you click a story chapter or event chapter that like the globe rotates and snaps into where you're going. Like all of them have dots on the screen, but the UI just wasn't built to do that. And now they're like, okay, so we figured out globe rotation technology.
No, but
I mean, you could port FGO to a VN, but also I know people, the battle system's not that in depth, but you would lose something because fights are story. There is story in fights.
So no, but I am excited. Like I do like the Bleachers concept. I like the class score stuff. I'm not necessarily happy about having to grind out yet another material, because I already don't have a lot of the recent materials we just unlocked, and we're about to get a couple more like in less than a week.
Yep,
maybe a week. And then I have like this cosmic space dust to worry about.
Like I said, at least clairvoyance wise, we know that space dust generation will get a little easier.
Yeah, but that time is not now.
Space dust.
Thank you, Architect. But so I could like again, and Lucky is always a good story for Lucky is always a sucker for narrative. So that's fine. Also, yes, X also says we're also like, I'm gonna be real. We have material bloat. We have too many things.
I mean, yes, definitely. Like just getting more and more items that do this, do that other thing. Like I know that like FF14 makes an effort to like pare back stuff regularly, but that still means that they've like gone through iterations of like God knows how many colors of script and like many varieties of tombstone and shit like that.
Yeah,
they keep having to add new materia levels. Like,
and
like I said, 14 does remember to make sure to pare it down, and FGO doesn't do that. But there's a lot of stuff. I think the three kinds of prisms is just because they already have those assets, so when they need to give you a new currency to do something, they just recolored it.
No, but the Lysango, like, this is me always talking about the future and whatnot, but I think Lysango has learned a lot of lessons over these past 10 years, and I truly hope that they are not done with, the Fey Grand Order story, and we do have something else in the tank, but it's time to, close the chapter on this one and, come up with something, a bit better and a bit shinier. So yeah, no, I'm glad for it. Like, and I'm excited for the next 2 years in NA. Like I said, we have finally reached the starting line of the penultimate here.
Yeah, before we move on to mailbag, I do want to say it is funny that like because the Lost Belts did get kind of stretched out. I don't think anybody can say that they didn't. They literally added some 0.5 chapters to kill some time, and they had some rough releases with how big some of those stories got. But like pretty consistently since I think day one in LB, you and I have both been going like, okay, the Lost Belts are a problem, but how will this fix the Bleached Earth?
It turns out that this isn't actually the Earth. It is another Earth that has been put on top of our Earth is now stuck on a ball, frozen in Antarctica. Great, I love this. What's that? Humanity says
we kind of could fix, but still must do work.
Well, that's the thing. There are plenty of options that you can do. Like, FGO doesn't need to be real-time action. There are plenty of options. Like, honestly, I think my preferred, what I would want for an FGO2 is the 3x3 grid, where you can place servants accordingly, and then they can have, like, terrain buffs and stuff. So like kind of like how Girls Frontline 1 did, or how Last Origin does. In which you can place a unit on there and maybe it'll buff a bit enemies in front of it, behind it, to the sides. Being able to attack, several enemies on the opposite 3x3 grid. That can still be turn based and have a good amount of mechanics.
And they did play around with that in one of the difficulty quests they just did, the pirate one.
Actually, that reminds me, we didn't really talk about the.
That's right.
Well,
actually, yes.
we can worry about that after the mailbag. But no, I do think that is generally what I consider my favorite gotcha system. Is basically the 3x3 grid, which lets you have a layer of strategy. Because I'll fucking say it. Most of the meta on FGO is you basically just throwing a fuck ton of buffs on one character and going ham. And unfortunately, that's kind of the meta for all gacha games. So you need to make that a little bit more interesting. So I think switching it up from instead of the 1x3 to the 3x3, and then having your servants do buffs depending on positioning, adds a layer of complexity without actually going too ham. If you guys want examples of what I mention again, check out Last Origin. I will say beware. There are censored versions of it, though. Or the original Girls Frontline. Unfortunately, Chris, all games are in the category of how do I play the game less? Like, we make the joke of the meta, me standing for most effective tactic available. People will automatically drift to making the most simple brain set stupid, so they have to do less buttons. Which, personally, I think is a waste, because if you're trying to do something as quickly as possible, are you actually enjoying that thing? This is the conversation I had about people who say they like hard modes, but they don't actually.
Well, and I think that, like, the thing would definitely be, because I think with FGO, there's an argument of, like, are you actually enjoying FGO combat? And the answer is probably no, because we've talked about this a lot. The combat mechanics are not super deep to start, and, like, the way, like, the core loop of, like, all right, farm the node is just, like, is really repetitive and not engaging. And I think that's why a lot of people drifted towards just 2 support casters, juice attacker go, and it took them a really long time to like change up their system, like with the 90++ type nodes, right? That was just like last year?
Last year or the year before, I'm not entirely sure. But yes, sorry, I'm trying to get anything, but no, a lot of times, like this is direct, this is by direct intervention of the community, but people don't really like to play with, like, stall and defensive units. Actually, I was reading a interviewer up with me talking about other gacha games here. I was reading an interview with the team at Shift Up that works on Nikkei. Like I said, they just did their 2.5 anniversary, and they've been doing their own amounts of interviews. And the interview asked her, it's like, hey, why aren't the defensive units so good? Like, no one wants to play them. And the guy basically said, it's not that the defensive units aren't good, it's just that no one wants to use them. They focus on putting everything into attack so they can clear the content faster. And there's nothing we can really do about that.
I mean, FGO is the same way, too. It's like, early, for story content, stall teams were very legitimate because, first of all, there wasn't as much content to get through. There was less of a hill to chew through. But, like, it was just one of those things of, like, okay, so winning this fast is not possible. Legendary, I really need you to stop doing superscript. Thank you. Why is your text so big? I can read it just fine at the normal size. Did you just learn how to do this? You did this like 4 times today. Where was I? Right, stall. Stall was a legit strat early, and it's still sometimes a legit stat for bosses, but it was legitimized because there was no way to turbo it. And so it was just like, well, so the only way to do this content is to, like, slow to a glacial pace and, like, just thug it out. But as FGO gets more and more content, right, it becomes more and more to be like a FGO it out, yes. It becomes like more and more of an incentive to go faster. And like for farming, there really isn't an incentive to stall, right? Because like, yeah, you can clear it if you go slow, but that means less runs. That means less drops. That means, more time spent not getting the rewards in FGO that you want. Nikkei I think is definitely interesting because like, I played a little bit of it before letting it drop on my phone. But like having a time limit is definitely like, yeah, defensive should be a niche, but that's definitely like not going to be a strat that's going to appeal to players if you have a literal time limit, right?
No, like defensive units still have their thing. Like I use defensive units in some content, so my units, don't die while they're trying to attack. But I generally have like 2 very high attackers and then a few supporters to keep them up and going. But I'm fortunate. I have a +6 Modernia, which is she has a machine gun that is actually a laser. I don't think she's the highest DPS in the game, but she is one of the most consistent. So I get through so I can get through a lot of content like on her back alone, which gives me a lot more flexibility in my setup. But like I think I would say like, oh god, if I was to put myself in the in the percentage of players, I think I'm in like the 10th to 20 percentile of Nikkei players. Casually, like I can't like come anywhere close to like the big whales and stuff. Our union's actually pretty good. We consistently get like to the 5th to the 5th to 7th percentile in union rate. So we do a lot of work there. We have a Korean well in our union. They're crazy. They're fucking crazy.
Of course, yeah. No, I mean, hey, that's how it works.
But it's one of those ideas of like oh god, how do I best say this? Playing defense is not going to win you any fights. It'll keep you alive, but you got to make sure that you're putting out enough attack to actually get through. Like, this is why, like, some people, like, have troubles, like, certain fights in Nikkei. Like, apparently in, I think in the interview they said Mother Whale, I believe that's the boss of chapter 21 or 22, I can't remember, was basically the biggest roadblock for Nikkei players ever. And I think they said Nihilister was, like, number 2. Or was it Ultra that was number 2? I can't remember.
Makes me wonder, like, it's been so long since I played Arknights, but, like, I wonder what the Arknights meta is like these days, because they've just had a big anniversary, because, like, Arknights was a gacha game styled as tower defense, right? Like,
yeah,
you gotta protect the fields from the guys go through lanes, so, like, in a sense, defensive units could be very strong in that game, because, like, part of your thing was setting it up, and I'm pretty sure Hoshiguma was decent early, because her thing was, like, revenge, like, thorns. So, like, you're always going to be taking damage.
I miss Hoshiguma.
Well, they're going to do a sequel or side game of Arknights, too. Maybe they'll Girls Frontline to it. But, like, yeah. So, like, I think Arknights had the room for, like, either you can just stun it out forever, or you're just, like, the moment a mob spawns, he's dead. Kill him. Send him to the volcano. So, like, I don't know if that's really changed, but, yeah, like, it really depends on your gameplay setup. So, like you said, making FGO like a 3x3 grid, which would be a little bit like Mega Man Battle Network, so I'd be okay with that. Or, even like some other stuff like that. Even if it's still like 6 party members and it's still like front row, back row, make it so like inherently changing front row, back row does something.
No,
like range attackers are better in the back, melee attackers up front, shit like that. Love to see it. Like, just tactical flexibility would be cool.
No, I think that's what, like, Fate needs, is tactical flexibility. And I hope, again, I wish to be a fly upon the wall of their meetings to figure out what they're doing, but I can only hope that
I think it would be a little too much of a gameplay break to do, like, for an FGO2, but, like, if they went the, like, XCOM style, like, the tactical RPG that Girls Frontline 2 did, that could be so sick, because, like, servants are supposed to be really flexible, and there's a lot of really interesting stuff they could do. Like, that would be really cool, but I think it would be a little bit of a break. Like, fundamentally, like, Fate has a lot of ties to, like, tabletop RPGs, so keeping it, like, fairly simple RPG-type combat is pretty cool. But like I said, I think there's a lot that could be done with, like, press con for inherent, like, stealth and stuff, the actual, like, territory creation, ranks mattering for, like, controlling your grid squares type shit. There's a lot of funny things you could do there. And I would love to see more, because there's a lot in there. And something that I may be talking about later, but as a lot of people on the internet who are still wrong are saying, turn-based is very popular right now.
I can rant about this. I kind of did on Twitter, but people saying that developers aren't making turn-based games are factually actually wrong, and just don't see the turn-based games that they want to see, and so they get pissed off.
They're mad exactly about Final Fantasy, but also they're stupid. I'll say it right now. Spoilers. Yesterday I bought Clair Obscur because I slept 5 hours and felt like shit, so I treated myself. So I've been playing it. The gameplay of Clair Obscur is not like any Final Fantasy. Like, it really is just a amalgamation of, like, all the turn-based JRPGs the devs played. The UI is very Persona-esque, and yes, I could say Persona-esque because they have a shoot button. It's literally like Persona 5. But the way it plays isn't really like a Final Fantasy, because I don't think any FF game has done the action point type system that Clair Obscur has, where you bank action points to spend on actions. Like, that's not like ATB at all.
I know there's another JRPG that's done something like that, action points, but I can't think of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Like, I don't remember what it is. I'm pretty sure there are franchises that have done this AP thing where, like, basic commands and blocks build AP that you convert into abilities, kind of a thing. But I can't recall it right now. And then it has, I mean, admittedly, that is a Square Enix project, but it has timed hits and timed blocks like Super Mario RPG. But yeah, it's like, well, it is extremely French, but that's what I said. They, advertising-wise, and even the devs talking about it, they clearly took influence notes from JRPGs, is the thing. Like, nothing about Clair Obscur other than maybe the campfire is very much like a Dragon Age or an Oblivion or anything like that. Like, it's really not like Western-style RPGs. Octopath
Guys, I do have to stop you though, because when Axe said it's extremely French, all I could think was Rubens Raptor's Voice of the Void. French. Just play the flag. Just boom, right there. But also, yes, no, actually, it is.
This is actually genuine. The French have been super into anime and manga fucking forever. Like, the French, I don't know, like, the rest of the years, but the French got into it before, like, us, quote unquote, as the West got into it. Like, they were selling manga on fucking, at fucking newsstands before we could even get it in our Barnes and Nobles.
Yeah, no, I mean, talking about early 1900s, I think it was before that. Like, since Japan opened, French artists have been like, yo, dog, have you seen Japanese woodblock? Get a load of this shit. Like
we talk about.
Shout out to France. They're like, game respects game.
Actually, no. Actually,
yeah,
a lot
French
of there's actually quite a bit
big.
of French animation that was very like anime inspired.
Kobyoko? Wakfu?
Wakfu.
Yep,
that was another one.
But yeah, no, like I said, there are some aesthetic similarities to FF that I will talk about later. But like I said, Clair Obscur's gameplay feels like the devs cherry-picked all the mechanics from JRPG-style RPGs that they liked over the years and kind of built their best version of that. And there's some real good improvements there that I do want to talk about if we get to it, but that will be for the What's Up segment. But like I said, people bitching and moaning that oh, Square Enix is moving away from turn-based in Final Fantasy is like, yeah, Final Fantasy games don't play like this. They've never played like this.
I think people just get too into their head of what they think their game should be like, and ignore any and everything that ignores that opinion. Like, God, like, recently I actually picked up, they haven't been coming out with necessarily new things, but that's because, the new things that they do come out, like, Square Enix, like, I want to put this up again because I do feel like I need to bitch about this enough. They have been putting out, turn-based games, and they've been re-releasing, a lot of the old ones in collections for people to buy, and people are just like, oh, no turn-based games. I'm all like, yeah, there is. Like,
you can literally replay Final Fantasies 1 through 6 anytime.
No, like,
they HD'd that shit.
Like, they are, like, getting through, like, they did the Final Fantasy recollections. They're working on getting the old Dragon Quest out. They just did, Saga Frontier and Saga Frontier 2, I think?
Yeah, I believe 1 and 2, yeah. Fairly big for retro circles.
Yeah, fairly big for retro circles. They came out with those. The new ones, like, they tried, like, we have the Octopath Traveler 1 and 2. We have the Bravely series, which is, like, 3 games. 3 different games. I'll throw in, Diofield Chronicle in there, because technically it's turn-based, but it's more like turn-based real-time movement strategy thing. It's a little weird. But that's out there. Frickin' Triangle Strategy is out there.
Hey, never forget, I still haven't beat it, but a couple years ago, they HD remastered and re-released Tactics Ogre, which is ancient.
Yeah, no, so, like, no. They constantly are, they're releasing, but because no one actually buys them, Square Enix goes, well, I guess no one wants to fucking buy them. Live Alive, that was another one, thank you. I knew I was forgetting one.
Another classic one, yeah. They got remastered not too long ago.
What was that? Actually, I don't know if this was turn-based. What was that wonderful Day Life one? Day Life something? What was that?
I think you said
was that turn-based?
The name. Is it Wonderful Day Life Simulator?
It's like Day Life something.
I mean, talking about classic as well remasters, They like put out
Various Day Life, that's what it's called.
Various Day Life, yeah. Talking about old remasters, right? I also still haven't got to them because they're on Switch and I have a million things to do. But they fucking re-released old Front missions, which are, like, again, mecha tactics games. Like, turn-based is still strong, and, like, man, I don't... Sorry, I'm trying to imagine a turn-based Final Fantasy 16, and I'm just like, I don't think that would be as cool.
No. Probably not. Okay.
16 was really built up from the ground to be a...
Oh, this is why
Dash
Various
RPG.
Day Life probably didn't do as well. It was another one that got sent to Apple Arcade. And then Square Enix was like, alright guys, we'll publish this for you so you can get off the fucking Apple Arcade. Because, I'll remind you, that also what happened with fucking Fantasia Neo Dimension. Another turn-based RPG. Not developed by Square Enix, but published. It's like,
well, and
I Am
also,
Setsuna.
if you're bitching and moaning about old school FF, made by the father of Final Fantasy, Sakaguchi, like...
It's a good-ass game. And guess what? It's published by Square Enix. So, I'll put that in their bin. They spent money to, get it out there to other people.
Also, I do want to bring
So, no,
up,
I will continue to harp on this, that people don't actually want fucking, more turn-based games. They just want the turn-based games for the franchises they grew up with and nothing else. Go play Dragon Quest. Go play fucking Saga Frontier. Go play, the old school Final Fantasies. Go pick up a fucking AA fucking turn-based game that Square Enix have released in the past 10 years. Shout out to
which
I Am
is a lot,
Setsuna.
by the way. Like, we have talked off and on about this for many weeks, and we're still going to be in this soapbox for the foreseeable future, I bet, because Clair Obscur is selling like hell. Like I said, people are wrong about it. The game's great, but like the discourse is just incorrect factually. It's stupid. But like Square is one of the biggest, most consistent AA publishers I know, and they're getting even more expansive. They fucking said they had a creator diary. They're committed. You're going to be able to play all of the FF7 stuff on Switch 2.
Rad. But
Yeah, apparently the big thing for the Switch 2 is just they gave it a shitload more RAM. is the big kicker. But no, they said that they're going to bring... He said that they're... I don't remember exactly which one of the staff it was the interview, but they interviewed at one of the 7 remake team, and they said that they plan on bringing the whole experience to Switch 2. So presumably that means for sure Rebirth, and then whatever the third one is. God, so many... Atlas also is killing it. Anyway.
Atlas kills it, but people aren't adding Atlas because they get the turn-based games they want from Atlas. But we did go on about that probably a bit too long. I do not apologize. I feel strongly about this. So, Lucky did a dumb, and I decided to download the Saga Frontier remaster that they had on the PlayStation Store, and I stayed up till like 8 a.m. playing it because even though it is turn-based, it's very non-standard. There is no actual experience points in that game. You don't level up. It's weird. It's interesting. I was all like, interesting.
There's a lot you can do with turn-based.
But that's some of those things that I was actually thinking about. Again, Lucky's gonna fucking tangent again. I think a lot of these games like stick in people's minds, not because necessarily they are good games, just because like from like the mid 90s to like 2010, people got fucking experimental with games, and they just fucking did shit and saw what and looked at what stuck.
Yeah, games are definitely a lot safer in the past couple of console generations because game development costs so much fucking money and takes so long.
Game development costs the money, and it's hard. Like, even though it's a lot harder to sell video games now. Like,
That's
people
also
don't
true,
necessarily think about it, but games can live or die on their press, on their lineage, and on their release date. Like, we'll talk about it. Like, did we talk about the release date for for Grand Theft Auto 6?
Yeah, we mentioned it last week that they officially announced it. And
Yeah,
they did
no,
actually have, like, over the past week, had, like, a new trailer and had, like, actual press.
Yeah, no. Good on them. Probably not going to play it day one, but good on them.
Well, I mean, I feel slightly more interested because their fucking presser was like, by the way, we captured this in-engine on a PS5. And I was like...
I mean, it is interesting, but again, like, I need to understand what's going on in the story, maybe. But, and then guess what? People like, in one of the interviews, we'll talk about this later, but in one of the interviews, Hideo Kojima did recently, he talked about how the looming threat of Grand Theft Auto 6 was definitely one of the reasons why the release date. He originally wanted the release date for Death Stranding 2 to be later in the fall, I believe he said. I think he said he was going for like October, I think it was. But because, the Battle Axe in the Room, GTA 6, wasn't doing its release date, they tried to go for something a little bit earlier.
Which is very interesting because they've been doing a lot of press because the game just hit gold.
Yep.
46 days before their release date, so they're locked in.
Are locked in. It's all nothing but polish now. And so, like we give developers and publishers like a lot of shit for trying to play it safe, but like honestly, I don't understand. Like, I don't think there'd be a fucking business and a man who would say, "All right, let's go all in on this wacky, wild, crazy idea we happen and see if it fucking works."
Actually, we know those guys. It's literally just Vanillaware. We've talked about this. That's what they do. Is Vanillaware makes a shitload of money making banger-ass video games, and then they spend years spending literally all of their money working on their next video game. And when they run out of money, they publish their video game, which usually has something about it that feels a little unfinished. And they also don't do sequels because they got burned super bad on Grim Grimoire.
Like, honestly,
like, their
I love
games
Vanillaware
are
games,
good,
but also because
but
they're not afraid to draw their women sexy. Which gives me life.
It is one of those things that, like, I think people will pick and choose and kvetch and moan and stuff, but you can't say that Vanillaware games don't have a visual identity, right? Like, they're locked in on their primary concept artists and making that shit look good.
I do. Well, I will say, even though I do like the appearance, like I do just love Vanillaware's art style. It's so good.
I mean, they have been re-releasing games. I don't know if Grim Grimoire once more sold, but that had new content in it. Like, they had new challenges and practices and stuff that was interesting. Unfortunately, that game was a PS2 era RTS, and parts of it sucked ass. I still really like Grim Grimoire,
but with the Sword of Damocles that is GTA 6, finally dropped. I'm pretty sure, like, this summer Game Fest, I think some people talked about this, we're probably going to be getting a lot of fucking video game announcements. It's everyone, and it's, like, honestly, I'm pretty sure that, like, this is my personal theory, but I'm pretty sure that Rockstar didn't actually want to give a release date yet, because I'm pretty sure, I don't bet, like we're over a year out, I'm pretty sure they're still not actually done with the game.
Yeah, definitely not.
No, they're probably still in post-production. They probably even haven't really done, like their final pass of QA, which is probably why we haven't actually seen any gameplay trailers yet. But I'm pretty sure that investors and other parts of the industry have been applying pressure to them to put out a release date, at least an initial one.
Well, and honestly, like, I feel like, no offense to Rockstar, but, like, I don't think most of their choices to market GTA 6 have been of their own will. They literally only did that first trailer with the 2025 date because they got a Giga Leak, right? Like, they had a shitload of unfinished, like, pre-alpha shit that looked like ass because it was pre-alpha. And they were like, okay, we gotta get ahead of this. We have to, like, show some concept footage and do an announcement because otherwise people are just gonna keep talking about the leaks forever. And it worked. People shut the fuck up about the leaks.
Mm-hmm.
But then it became, like you said, it became a sort of Damocles where it was just like, well, shit. They say they're aiming to release GTA 6. This game is going to be huge. We don't want to release. And so that they bumbled and stumbled until they hit about 1 year out, and then they just said, fuck it, we'll say it's coming out in 2026. We'll bite the bullet now. We know it's not coming out in 2025. We might as well say 2026.
Yeah. So, but, like, this is, like, what I'm getting back to. It's, like, people, like, bank so much on their super big games that when, others try to make, like, other games in or around that time, they can get completely, wiped. It's like, this ain't turn-based, but, Days Gone. Who developed Days Gone? I can't remember.
It's a first party, yeah.
I can't remember.
They got bought up
by all intents and
movie.
purposes, should have been, a well-received, well-aimed game, but because due to, I don't know, marketing or, reviews or whatever, it wasn't able to get the traction, wasn't able to get the sales, and ultimately it just kind of panned out. Now, when it went free on PlayStation Plus and a lot of more people got their hands on it, they were like, oh man, this game is really actually pretty fucking good. Man, we'd love to get a sequel. And that's when the fucking director of Days Gone, kind of got a little pissed at people. Saying such things when no one wanted to buy the game on release, and only after, it became free that they actually realized the charms of it.
I mean, I'm looking at it, I'm like, I can see, like, why, though, because, like, they're talking about, like, the inspiration, and it's like, major sources of inspiration was Sons of Anarchy, World War Z, and The Walking Dead, and I'm like, okay, those things are cool, but, like, even by 2019, when this game came out, a little passé. So I can understand kind of, like, why there wasn't the vibe hype, and then people got in like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, no, like, the zombies and whatnot are much more of a environmental effect, I would say.
Also, I want to say it's very funny talking about like moving release dates. Days Gone had their release date moved.
Mhm.
It was delayed from 2018 to 2019. They were originally going to release it in February, but they moved it to April to dodge Metro Exodus and Anthem. And I feel like Sony, maybe you shouldn't have bothered. Metro's pretty
Well-
big, but I feel like it's a little more niche. Anthem just fucking dumpstered itself. But I can understand not wanting to pick a fight with BioWare, I guess.
At the time, I think a lot of people were hyped for Anthem, but I think, as it got closer to release date, people got Concernicus, and then once actually people got their hands on it, they were like, oh no, this is not what I wanted.
People realized more and more that, like, oh, there's no such thing as BioWare magic. It's not real.
But, I don't know, I'm rambling now, but no, like, people need to... Omega, we need to bring back dueling in the streets. We do. We just do. I need to be able to call someone out, challenge him to a duel, and slap the shit out of them. And if I win, they have to admit they're wrong and go about their fucking day.
My favorite.
No matter
statement
how
about-
much you argue with people on the internet about how they are actually factually, contractually wrong, they won't shut up, and it drives me insane.
My favorite phrase of statement, which I think is about Legend of the Five Rings originally, but I've just taken it and I'm like, perhaps you'd like to back up your words with steel. It's okay. Apparently,
Robin, I will
Hyper-
make you eat your deck.
careful about that. Also, Robin, you can't play Pot of Greed. That's not legal. Play Egg Witch instead. Miracle Egg Sandwich. But also, apparently, if you want people to change their mind, you can just do incredibly unethical experiments with large language models. Because that was a thing that happened recently where a group of researchers completely, once again, unethically, not approved by the board. You should not do this, but they let loose a bunch of AI chatbots on, like, I think it was like the Change My Mind subreddit. And,
God.
the AIs instantly became, like, top posters, highly influential and shit. So it turns out that scrublords on the internet who don't get out enough are really easily persuadable, actually, despite how much they bitch and moan. And yes, I do want to say, if you get fucking bamboozled by ChatGPT into changing your mind, that does mean you didn't feel that strongly about it. You have been defeated by a literal machine. A machine that's dumb, by the way. But yeah, no, it's funny. We'll talk more about video games after the mail flip.
Yeah, let's do the mail flip before I get on another fucking tangent here. So, guess what, everybody? It is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO mailbag. Send me what you have to say and comment accordingly. I'm gonna hit one last refresh. Actually, Megan, what's the mission clock?
Let's see. Hour 20.
Alright, we're doing okay. That was good. That was some good ranting. But we have eight lovely comments, and we'll get through them all now. So this first one comes from the Master Ready for Bond Stonks. They say, Dear Lucky Omega, with the recent news that JP is apparently giving servants a double rerun, one for class pickups, another for grand duels, will this change your rolling plans? For me, I'm glad to be able to have a 3rd/4th chance to roll for Draco, but distinctly want to hold off rolling for some servants till 2027, and be more prepared for some others. I had some food for thought with the news that we gotten in JP today, and wanted your outlook on things. Thank you both as always for the podcast, and I'll see you in the next one.
Well, I mean, I will say, I don't know if you're going to get that legit 4th chance for Draco, because you can't grand Draco. So I always kind of assume that if the game goes for at least another calendar year, you'd probably get a chance to get on most rate-ups again. But yeah, don't count on extra classes coming in for this Grand Duel thing. But for core classes, definitely I think it like, I don't know, like, I don't know if it changes my rolling plans that far in the future, because I feel like for all these class campaigns anyway, it's always just going to be kind of like a pickup if I miss something, you know? But I do like backstops.
Like, I'm trying to think about it. Like, there are, like, classes that I want, but unfortunately, my heart is large and my love is infinite, so I am constantly wanting more servants. So it's hard for me to necessarily pick, especially if I want to go back. But I was thinking about it. The only two that I probably really want to roll more copies of is I want to probably get more copies of Ibuki and Summer Tamamo, like, at the moment. Like, try to get them both up to, like, NP3 or, heck, even 5. But, gods, I have... Just thinking about this year, like, I'm already starting to sweat uncontrollably. Like, I got Durga coming in, what, like, 2-3 weeks?
Should be 2 weeks from this point, roughly.
2 weeks? 2 weeks? And, I won't be rolling for, Super Medusa. That'll be a Mega's job. But then we got Summer, which unfortunately and Anniversary, which I'm sorry, I want my Ash Summer Morgan and I want my Summer Tam Lin. Like I can.
Yeah,
I can,
we're gonna bounce basically straight from anniversary to summer.
And like I could probably live without. I won't die if I don't get them, but I would also love to get the summer Chloe and the summer Suzuka because well, guess what? Chloe's also voiced by Chiwa Saito, and summer Suzuka is just nice. So yeah, no. Actually, I think I'll be okay for the rest of the year. I think because next year will be I'll need Marie Antoinette Alter. That's
the next Ordeal Call is not until next year, which is a little crazy to think about, but
yeah,
we do still have some good events.
Is next year's the Samurai Remnant collab that's like front loaded, right?
Yeah, that's gonna be like January. That's gonna be New Year's.
So that's gonna be writer Raiko, which is gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be...
I'm gonna get Iori. I need to get his girl. Oh, do I want to get Takeru though? I don't know. I haven't.
Will be New Year's like right away.
It'll be the New Year's, but it's the same
later
month.
That month will be actual collab. You gotta think about everybody.
And then yes, we still have not gotten our writer Tamamo area.
That I genuinely don't know if they're gonna do that in FGO. I apparently there has been some crosstalks with the devs, and it feels kind of like the vibe is that every different game crew can get a different
their own Tamamo.
Yeah.
No, I actually had that thought because FGO's OG Tamamo isn't Tamamo Cat or Tamamo Lion. It's Tamamo or Tamamo Lion. It's Tamamo Cat. Yeah, like she's
technically, I think Cat has more story appearances and lines of dialogue than normal Tamamo.
Yeah. So Tamamo Aria just might be the Samurai Remnant Tamamo, which is okay, I suppose. Ugh.
It's a strategy. We'll see it. It's fate, man. We talking about rules, man. You got to be careful.
It's true. But after that, I believe it's the Mahoyo collab next year.
Yeah, that's the Golden Week collab.
And
hey, Lucky, this year we don't have to worry about Golden Week collab. It didn't happen.
Yeah, I have to worry about Lilith though in the exact same time slot.
I know, but think how much worse it could be if there was also a Golden Week collab.
I suppose it's true. I am slightly curious though on the side why they decided to skip it, but probably just for time.
Probably just the way that the timing worked out.
But actually, I cannot. What happened last summer? I genuinely can't remember.
Remember last
that's
summer?
Right, because it was
to Ordeal Call 3.
That's why, because it was a secret prologue to Ordeal Call 3. That's why.
Yeah. Which
I'm sorry,
there
those
was
two have
standalone shit, but then
it fused together for me. That's why. Oh well, I'm gonna have to roll Summer BB. I mean, BB Dubai, Summer BB 2. And then in October, I believe, is the event with Cosmo Drop. Andromeda is Valentine's.
Yeah, next Valentine. Cosmo Drop is actually the Ordeal Call 3 actual drop.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. So actually, next year I might be pretty good. No, I'm gonna have to get Space Aresh. I got to. I can't look at that face and not go, I need her.
It's great.
I think most of the other Summer Servants, I'm I'm not I don't know. It also depends on my finances, but...
Yeah, let's see. October is, Grailfront Castle. Well, actually, I don't know how safe you feel. We do have, a new Gudu Gudu this year in November. That's Shingen Shinpachi and, Usagi Kenshin.
Oh, I would love an Usagi Kenshin and a Tiger of Kai. I can't remember his name all of a sudden. He looks like a cool dude.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna have to skip it though.
Luckily, there's no... Yeah, we're doing that thing again where there's no brand new servant for Christmas this year. There will be reruns for Breedomart, Nemo, Summer BB, and Skakskadi. And a Mary Anning in the FP Gotcha rerun, but we're just chilling. But yes, I do. I think to cycle this back a little to the original mailbag question, I don't think the class banners really change our rolling plans. It's more just our possible rolls, because there are more banners, but that's also 2 years in the future, so we'll have to see what it looks like.
I keep thinking about, I'm usually more concerned about what's gonna show up in the future. We're working up to the end, but we still got Summer coming, we still got Annie coming around that time. We're probably gonna do something crazy the closer we get to the finale, and who knows who might come out. I'm just
yeah, I genuinely don't know what we're doing for anniversary this year. There's 3 or 4 big characters who I think it could be the time.
So
Yeah, no, Mark just said Lucky's gonna get killed by Lilith. Anyway, this is correct. I'm not entirely sure when, but probably post. This is correct, that this is not my girlfriend, this is my next wife. But at some point, I'm just gonna have to hunker in and go into full savings mode. So, these extra banner stuff are cool, and I am grateful for them, and I hope people are rolling on them to make them, viable and stuff. Probably not for me. Like, we were talking about this, like, I do spend a lot of money on this game. I probably spent too much money on this game, boy howdy. But I gotta be I gotta save up. I generally save up for, like, very specific units, and they're new. And once that's gone, that's usually like, alright, I've done what I could. It's like I got, like, both Tiamat and Draco to MP3, and I'm not, like, sitting here, dying that I wasn't able to get to MP5 or 6. I'm just all like, no, that's pretty good. Like, so even if their reruns come around, I probably would not re-roll on them, because, well, this is how I be. I don't really have any other words to say on that. Anything else you want to add, Omega? Omega does not. Okay. So, we are going to move it on it. So this next one comes from Mash. I choose you. Use Skull Bash. My mental imagery is, probably should be using a seal, but I just have the image of Mash grabbing someone by the head and headbutting them really fucking hard. Bonk. Major bonk. But they say, no question, only vibe. Hope you have a good day. Same to you. Thank you. So, this next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado. My dude. I was about to say another word, but that would have got us banned. Dear Lucky and Omega, what's your plan for leveling up class score? Are you keeping things spread out evenly, focusing down one class at a time, or something in between? If you're focusing on one class at a time, which one are you starting with? Sending you good vibes, wah 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 wah, and wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Your shows are some of the highlights of my weeks. Thank you for the compliment. I refuse to believe that people like this show, though. You can't convince me. But, for my personal plan for class score, I am going to be going down them one at a time. And I am starting with casters. I believe I am 20 plus nodes into caster right now. I was able to reach the 4 unlock nodes, the 4 initial ones, and reach them all. Hit them all. So no, I refuse to believe 100, man. You just wanted to listen to some. You just wanted to listen to someone talk.
Smash that like button.
But
prove Lucky wrong.
So yes, I'm gonna be starting with casters and then probably moving on to either berserkers or assassins. I do not know exactly when the extra classes will be unlocked. I do know that
some of them are Ordeal Call specific, but
some of them are just get unlocked when random press shows up on the Bleached Earth.
Yeah. There'll be quest drops to do it.
Quest drops. My dulcet tones. You mock me with faint praise. Oh. Yeah, but what about you, Omega? What are your class score plans?
Right now, I've, spent a couple in a couple of classes to try it out, but I probably will, if I'm going to seriously clear them, do it, one at a time. And I put more into Berserker because that's one of my more used classes. And that's probably kind of how we'll run it down. Yeah.
Lucky started this game by rubbing berserkers on everything. I'm going to finish this game by rubbing berserkers on everything.
Yes, Alter Ego is from the first Ordeal Call. That's a week from now. But hey, that means that Rulers is from the 4th Ordeal Call, which is 2 years from now. So
we got time. Also, I don't know how far completion is if people have actually completed several of their classes, their class scores in there. But we got 2 years.
I think they have. Somebody actually tabulated it all out. It's not, crazy per score. It takes work, but it's, only, 300-something million QP, which is, a lot, but not an insurmountable amount,
I can make that in one Lotto. I can make more than that one Lotto if I remember to make sure that my FGA is working properly.
Yeah. So, it's...
But yeah, no, because I believe... Actually, if I remember correctly, I believe the foreigner class score Madame Prez has, because that's the Earth one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it's a Bleached Earth quest. I think they also did Pretender the same way recently.
Would make sense. But with that, let us moveth oneth. This next one comes from So Many Foes. Brother, you tellin' me. Howdy, Lucky and Omega. Hope y'all are doing well and enjoying all the gifts FGO dropped on us. You mean buried me in. No real questions this week. Just wanted to comment and send y'all good vibes. Wah, 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 wah. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. But we moveth on. Well, put your super thanks on the video itself. You can do that, Robin, if you want to. I'll probably feel obligated to read it out loud at some point, so,
Yeah, you can just tag it. Hey, it's news for anyone. You can tag a super thanks on a video comment.
This next one comes from the Tiger King starting his vacation right by getting Morgan to 120. Question, hey guys, with us now having a surplus of grails and enhancement items, have you used any of them yet? Any or all of them yet, excuse me. Also, what are your rolling plans for the rest of the year? Anyway, that's it for me, sending good vibes your way. Wah, 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 wah. And hope you have a great evening.
Well, luckily we hit our rolling plans already.
P.S. Any thoughts on designs of Saber and Archer for Honkai Star Rail and Saber's Excalibur scene? I mean, I've seen them. I think they're rad, and I think they're neat. Will not get me to play Honkai Star Rail, though.
Yeah, I thought about it. I'm like, nah, I can't be arsed.
But no, I do think they're cool. I like both of the designs. It's neat. I know some people are uppity about it. These people have no life.
No, I think they did a good job to kind of like modernize the designs and make them fit in a little bit more with the overall aesthetic of HSR.
Yeah. Some people get way too up into the details. Like, I was actually double checking on the Lilith lore and what the research that FGO did, and while I like it, I was definitely seeing forum threads dedicated to people being pissed that they didn't include more Samuel and Adam lore and Lilith thing, and I'm like, is it really that important? The answer is no, but people like to think it is.
I mean, my thought instantly also is like, oh yeah, no, FGO's gonna yap out the Garden of Eden, sure.
Like I said, it's not actually that important, but people really want to have their thing. Like, a lot of people were going on about how Lilith's relationship with Samuel kind of made like their duality shtick work, and I'm all like, not really. People see what they want to see. I'm the same way too. I can't throw too many stones, but I'll throw a little bit of stone. Well, that's because Lilith is like actually is spoken about so little in books and whatnot. Like, I think she has like only a couple passages in the original Old Testament, and people kind of got confused, especially when Eve had like multiple descriptions in the book. So people just went, Adam had 2 wives. Yeah, explains everything. Woo! Glad we caught that. And then it was later when they put down, all, the Lilith lore and whatnot.
Yeah,
people don't seem to understand. People don't understand that our history is rife with personal interpretations and opinions written down, and so you shouldn't take them as the gospel truth.
Yeah, Lilith is Mesopotamian in origin, and has some place in like some more esoteric Jewish stuff from like the Hebrew version of the Bible and stuff like that did not make it into the modern Bible.
I think they said it was like Lilith that was on a tree that Gilgamesh saw. Might have been an owl.
Lilith, Lilish. There's, I mean, like I said, it's originally Mesopotamian. Like, the name is probably like Akkadian origin.
Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yes. Hey guys, I'm sorry. Lucky got on that because I need people to bitch about things too, and unfortunately, y'all are my audience. But they did ask us about my surplus of grails and enhancement items. This was actually something that I was bringing up earlier. I do actually need to sit down and think about more about what I'm going to use my grails for. Like I said, I did finish grailing Summer Buki to 120, and I did get Castoria to 100, but I still have a lot of servants that I want to grail for use or for love. Like, I've gotten most of my Sakura faces to 90, considering maybe getting some of those to 100. Thinking that I should probably, if I'm going to be using them more often, I should probably get like my Oberon to 100. Like I said, I haven't been using him mostly because I've been thriving on the my arts combo of Talamo Castoria, but I'm finding that putting Oberon and switching him in lets me get a little bit more juice out of everything, which is important. Huge juice. Yes. Let me be fair. I get huge juice. So I've been using him more. So if I'm going to be using him more, give him the grails to reflect that support. Thinking about getting Super Orion up to 100 because he's a monster. He's great.
I mean,
he punches things very hard.
Yeah, Super Orion covers a multitude of situations, so it's just like, yeah, sure, 10 more levels, baby. It's perfect.
So you just punch. And of course, I have to start thinking about like my next 120 targets. Like, if I had my way, I would 120 Ibuki, Summer Kama, both my Koi and Skaya's Tiamat, and probably Draco as well. But that's another 6 servants to get to 120. I don't think I have the coins, the grails, or the QP for that. Not alone thinking about the embers for that. So I'm just like,
I don't have any 120 plans because, as you know, Chad, I am like, even when I'm spending money, I'm not always lucky at this. I have been flummoxed even spending cash on servants to get NP1, but I need to like budget my I need to actually calculate the coins and see if there's anybody I can go to 120.
Like, when Mash gets her upgrade, I would like to 120 of her. That is, my first servant has been with me the longest.
I mean, definitely if we get the coins for that, it's 300 coins for 120.
So I want to do that.
Because
But,
like
that's 2 years in
my
the future.
Aresh is
'cause-
already level 100, and she is NP2. I can't remember. I think Ishtar's NP2, or is my Aresh NP3? Actually, I'd have to double check. Like if Aresh is NP3, I should probably stick her in the back and fawn some Barm, because then we can go towards Bond 15 type shit. I'd already given my Mordred is only NP2. She might be NP3, but I did spend a little on Append skill loading, so I don't know if that one will work out. So yeah, I got some to think about. I have actually technically used the Grails though. I put Summer Canis to 90. Let's see, my regular Canis I think is at least 90, if not 100, because I had a lot of Grails to spend. Python is 100. Bargus is 100. All my good Berserkers are 100 just because I'm like, more damage.
More damage, go!
My Rid phases are super jacked. Like I said, I think Super Ryan's on my plans to 100, but I don't remember if I actually did that or not. I should double check, especially with so many fucking embers lying around. But yeah, for 120s, I need to do math about coins.
Ooh. Sorry, excuse me. I was doing a little reading on the side there.
Yep.
Sorry, I was double checking Marie Antoinette's NP, and she is also an arts AoE. So I was like, that's some overlap with Summer Comma, but don't care. So we will move on. This next one comes from Agent 418, who says, "Hello, Lucky Omega. P.S. Have a good weekend, y'all. Thank you, my dude. Thank you." Moving on. Next comes from Soul of the Light Mode Discord, the Heathen, who says, "Dear Call Bunny, Lucky, and I've got a pot of dust, Omega. Since there is no foreigner class score for this poor outer god cultist, what class would you two recommend focusing on? Keep up the good vibes, wah 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 wah, and see you on the Bleached White Sands." Well, it is true. Right now, we do not have the foreigner class score, and we won't for at least another year, because I believe this comes out after Ordeal Call 3, I think, actually.
After 3, but before 4, so it'll be a while.
It'll be a while.
I mean, honestly, I think, not to toot our own horns too much, but I think Lucky and I have the best one. It should probably be Casters or Berserkers, because I think those are just the most used classes in the game.
Right now, yes. Honestly, once Alter Ego gets unlocked, that would also probably be a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's another one that's just like, everybody in general, if you have Alter Egos, you probably do some farming with Alter Egos, so...
But right now, the base classes, since there's a lot of support in Casters, could probably be useful. Berserkers, again, very general, but if you have any specific servants that you use more so than anyone else, you might want to focus on them. Giving them that little bit helps. Like I said, I picked Caster because, one, I have a 120 Tamamo. That's my Tamamo tank. Literally on her own has 20k health. And still, it's not invincibility, but still one, actually, let me double check. I don't think her morph has been modified at all. Let me double check.
I think her morph is still A+. So it's just the defense boost, but it's the really good one.
Yeah, let me double check this. So now I'm curious. I gotta double check the actual numbers on this. Morph. Yeah, Shapeshift A. Yeah, increases her own defense by 30% by 1 turn, and then has the level up one, which is increases defense at max 30% at 1 turn. For 1 turn, you just take you reduce everything by fucking 60%. That's nuts.
Yeah, we've talked before about how defensive focused servants are a little rough, but there are a couple of, and have been for a very long time, a couple of very strong defensive buffs for 1 turn. Tomos is one of those where just 60% defense up for 1 turn? No, that's good. That's just, you'll live something.
I have tanked MPs with that.
There's a couple of other 50% defense ups for 1 turn that are similar to Tomos, where it's just yeah, no, that'll live you.
But so getting a little bit extra on casters, as like I said, most of my comps is gonna have probably Tamamo or Castoria in there, if not both. Generally I place my teams around finding someone that they can use rather than finding servants that than the other way around. So for me, Caster is a very easy choice. Then again, followed next up by Berserkers, as that is my AoE farmer of choice. C120 10-10-10 NP5 Sumerabuki. She covers a multitude of sins. Other than that, though, unfortunately, it's either you could just hold out until things unlock. I don't think, while the buffs are nice and useful, I don't think they're necessarily needed, I think is the best word.
I think
It
you
will
get a
let
lot
you-
more out of the jump to either level 100 or especially level 120 than just doing class score. It's just that class score obviously is for everybody,
Yeah.
but that does mean that
So
it's
if
less
you want to
focused.
sit and wait until, if you want to sit and wait on materials until like one of the extra class scores of someone that you like, such as Alter Ego, Foreigner, Avenger, like that is also quite viable. And if you are wait, you're probably more likely to be able to get more of it done at once. So there are several options. Again, we talked about this. There are probably other people who have come out with some guides. Shout out to your boy Fino. He knows what's up. And like I said, we've only just gotten our hands on it. So yeah, take what we say with a grain of salt. But I would recommend casters, as they are usually your big time supporters, and then whatever your favorite damage dealing class is. Generally, I think that's gonna be probably pretenders, alter egos, or berserkers. Unfortunately, I wonder if we're ever gonna get a beast class score.
I mean, honestly, that feels like kind of a waste because there's just 2 of them,
Yeah, I know, but still, it would.
and they're
amuse me.
already really, really strong. It could be interesting. I guess we'll see.
So
Just rubbed
last
my
but
eyes
not
too hard,
least,
my
we got.
headphones fell off.
Oh no! So last but not least, we have Too Much Stuff, formerly known as the 100-Hour Man, who has written several paragraphs.
We are at almost 2 hours, by the way.
Let's see here. So they say, Dear Lucky Omega, so yeah, I never thought I would get upset at FGO for giving us so much stuff. I had just figured out how I was going to organize everything after getting 295 Lotto boxes. Someone post a GIF. And for the first time in my FGO career, getting up to the 2 billion QP limit. And just as I was about to start rolling, boom, over 500 million QP and a whole lot of XP cards. Probably a good problem to have, but still surprisingly annoying. Yeah, I wish I had a 2 billion QP problem. I'd have a lot less concerns in my life right about now. So I do have a question this week about something else that has been bothering, but includes something that is sort of a OC4 spoiler. You guys made a reference to it last year, and it's something that we knew was happening for years, but it's just finally found in OC4. I'll include it at the end of the message, and you can decide if you want to read it on the air. If you don't read it, hope you guys have a great week, and keep on being awesome. Hang on, let me read this real quick.
Yes, I think they are correct that it is like technically it's something related to Ordeal Call 4, but we have discussed this concept before.
Okay, it is not a spoiler, as unfortunately, funnily enough, we have already mentioned this. So question, am I the only person who is annoyed when I hear anyone saying that they aren't playing Grail? Someone post a GIF again.
But for Lucky.
For me this time. They aren't playing to Grail Mash up to 120, or up to level 100. The girl deserves level 120 without a question, but I understand there's a lot to work to expect from anyone. That being said, after how much work Mash has done for us throughout the years and stories, I feel like it says a lot about people who don't take heart on that. Well, normally I think, well, whoever you put your grails in and love it to is your business, and people can have different opinions on the same character. Mash feels like she's a different case, you know? Well, unfortunately, you've kind of already hit the nail on the head, is people have different opinions and feelings. There are some people who generally do not like Mash. Like, they do not like her character, they do not like her design, they do not like her kit, and
How could you say it?
unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about that. Like, me, personally, like, I like Mash. I think of she is to me, she is a wonderful, like, younger sibling, like, underclassman type character. Like, I see her, and I do not necessarily think romantically of her, but I find her indispensable to me nonetheless. She is family. And, you know, she's done a lot for me over the years, so I want, like, when the time comes, yes, I'm going to put her to, 120. But that is my take on her. Other people do find, like, Mash to be, something more, romantically involved, or, or just do not like her. But no, like, I have always kept my Mash, max level, max skilled, all that stuff, and God, like, I think she, right now you can grail her to 90, right? I think you can.
You either can grail her or she just goes to 90 on her own. I don't remember how it works, but
I do not remember.
She's 90. My Mash is 90. I don't remember if you can.
Oh, it's just level to 90. You can't grail.
Yeah, they basically auto grail her is what they did. Because she has the
That's
grail
what it
icon now.
That's why, okay.
But they don't have to actually spend grails. But yes, the thing we're referencing is after Ordeal Call 4, you can actually genuinely, factually grail Mash. Which is the thing this person is correct, Lucky and I have been yelling about for years.
Yeah. And so yeah, I'm going to do it.
I'll say this, right? Obviously, like, they even admit, I think it should, they say, I think it should be a free, 120, but I get that that's a big commitment, right?
Yeah.
I do kind of agree that, like, man, even if you don't like Mash, you have to use Mash no matter what for a lot of things. Like, that's definitely, like, I feel almost like, especially because it's only, like, what, 2 grails to 100 still? It's like 95 then 100? You got so many free grail. Is 5? Okay, it is the 5. That's a little more, but like the leveling isn't that crazy. And you can like hypothetically grail cast, 2 grails a month. And we get another bunch free right before Ordeal Call 4. Yeah, no, like even if you don't like Mash as a character, I would still urge you to go for the 100 probably, just because you got to use Mash a lot, and like, yeah, the new Super Mash does cost points, but you could still use regular Mash who doesn't cost points, and those are free stonks, baby. Like, the amount of time you still have to put Mash in the fucking front row and shit like that, it's just like, nah, man, the moment they let me do that, we're going 100. And like I said, I even said out loud, I'm like, man, if I could figure out the coins for Mash, if the coins are good, we'll go 120. Because Mash is good. Like, she's a staunch member of the team. She has been there since literally day one, and like is still accessible to you as your free unit. And it's like, why wouldn't you want to give her 100? It just seems so useful. But yes, like you said, obviously people are entitled to their different opinion. I have observed that there are people who do not like Mash's character or don't like notes of Mash's character. I can't say that Mash has always been written well. Hey, spoilers, this game has been around for 10 years. It has not always been written well. God, it seems so long ago, but Chad, do you remember Epic of Remnant? We were so bummed about quite a few of those story notes. I mean, I feel like Lucky and I, we were more positive about Shimosa than I think the general audience was, but yeah, there's stuff there. So like, yeah, I won't say Mash is always perfectly written, but it just seems like I would go for the going through the level 100 is such an easy wins that I would say consider it. But like, she is a part of the squad. Yes, absolutely.
So, like I said, different folks from different strokes for different folks. Let them have their opinions, and if their opinions are wrong, and you cannot think of a way to convince them otherwise. I know Omega was talking about how fucking AI chatbots are able to convince people, but I'm still like, I don't know. They're on a fucking Reddit called Change My Mind. I'm pretty sure those people are fucking weird to begin with. Well, then again, I don't go on Reddit or stuff. Listen, I'm only mostly on Twitter to look at porn and check out my favorite artist, alright? I don't try to engage in actual debates and stuff. It's a waste of time.
I've known this for years about Twitter. Ever since the character limit, it's stupid to have an argument on Twitter. You don't have the space to elocute anything. Also, yes, chat. Our patron chat right now is busy discussing whether or not Agartha exists.
Agartha exists, and it's not as bad as everyone thinks. It's just probably the weakest of the frickin' Epic of Remnants. It's like media is allowed to interpret characters. Media is allowed to interpret character as they wish. They have been doing it for untold amounts of years. Remember when your boy Dante decided to throw certain people he didn't fucking like into different realms of hell, and everyone's fucking okay with that? Shut up if we do a little bit something weird with Scheherazade and fucking other characters. Jesus fucking Christ. Ugh. But that will be it for this week's mailbag. I think Blacklist OG is like, Agartha was an okay sandwich between good stories. Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, I chuckled there because it didn't start with an S.
It's true, huh? It was Samotha, Agartha. It was Shinjuku, Seraph, Agartha, then Shimosa, and
Salem. Yeah. literally all the others start with S. Yeah, I mean, Shinjuku wasn't perfect, but like I fucked with that vibe a lot more than Agartha.
I liked it. I guess I liked it because we got frickin' casual clothes, Saber Alter,
casual
and John
Jolter,
Alter.
Salter, yeah.
And we got to hang out with Old Man Moriarty, who is fucking great. I love him.
We got Moriarty and Holmes moments. The fucking God, I mean, yeah, no, like just the climax of Shinjuku is really cool because it's like the ultimate crime, and then picking the detective reveal to reveal the mastermind stuff. No, it's really good. We also started to get some of the world building on Avengers with Lobo. That's where Lobo's from, guys. Remember? So like it was very good.
I will say I can't necessarily think of any highlights from Agartha, but I didn't hate it.
Oh no, I didn't hate Agartha. Agartha was like, I mean, I think it's I got a good way to say it. Agartha's boneless is the problem.
Yeah, boneless.
Like a couple of characters hit. I do think people got a little too offended about Scheherazade talking about Romani, but like the character writing was pitched to us as a character as being a sore spot, right? Like because it's supposed to be. But Phoenix is dumb. We didn't do anything with the hood. Most of the others, like Penth and Wu are interesting, but like infinitely more has been done with them by the event stories after. And like I said, Columbus like hits. He's got a note, but like it's definitely like I said, boneless. Like there's not a strong thematics. It's just kind of like storytelling for storytelling. Like they tried to make it about like fantastical kingdoms that can't exist because that's the whole point. But it's like, I don't know. It just the plot where it tries to kill us, because I guess that is the plot of every Epic of Remnant, right? Is one of the leftover demon pillars tries to kill us. Is just that like it's too close to the Shinjuku plot where it's like, oh, we're doing a big quote unquote crime. Ooh, we're gonna break everything, and it's just like, okay, yeah, you're gonna fly a magical land that doesn't exist. It's very, very scary. Yes, just like I said, didn't have any teeth, didn't with enough meat to chew on, and like
Meat.
Seraph was crazy good. Like that was. Especially for something that we didn't even have the touchstone over here, because so much of that reference back to CCC was like, yeah.
I think that's honestly, I think that's probably one of the reasons why it's so good is like it was, even though it was, the quote unquote CCC collab, they made it independent enough that someone who hasn't even known of it could enjoy it, while people who do know CCC can be like, oh yeah, check this out.
DiCaprio pointing me.
Yeah.
Shimosa, obviously, again, talking about, if people don't like MASH. If you don't like Musashi, which I do, I think there's an argument for, Musashi was super pushed by the narrative until she got written out. So, I get it. Some people don't like it when characters are pushed, when they're put over. But, for me personally, everything about Shimosa was my jam. It fucked. I love that vibe. So, of course, I'm all over it.
I feel like Shimosa was the actual send-up to the original inspiration for Faye. What was it? Makken. We talked about it, last week.
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but yes, there was a series that it was heavily influenced the original Fate Stay Night, and that the Shimosa plot is literally that book where 7 guys get revived, or the movie plot they based it off of and stuff like that. But also Shimosa had a lot of lead-ins to set up the Lost Belts, and also it was where we got introduced to Muramasa. So fucking yeah, clap that shit. Honestly, as the years goes on, I feel less and less upset about Salem. Salem still has some bad writing tricks, and it kind of feel like they were Christmas rushing.
A little bit, yeah. They wanted to get the year done because guess what? It was time for the LB prologue.
Yeah, it had cool concepts, but also it really could have used some extra writing time to maybe explain some of this stuff. But the weave of the building towards including foreigners and very much including more explicit Cthulhu mythos is that's really cool. Abby, I think, is a really interesting character. Also, still upset Lavinia Wantley hasn't come back. That's one of the few standout good characters. But also it had bad writing tricks where just some of our allied servants were stupid for no reason. We were trying to do something thematic with Sanson, but it was just don't though. This Vincent Price looking motherfucker really sucks. I at least I felt like Rom's plan was actually different enough though, right? He was oh no, I'm not trying to kill you specifically. I'm going to enact the plan. I'm going to change the world by contacting beings from outside of time. I've got this. And we're Rom, you don't got this. You don't got this, buddy. God, sorry, I'm just thinking about imagine if we hadn't Lost Belt transition and it had just stayed Epic of Remnant forever and we just had to keep dealing with demon pillars because there were supposed to be 72 of those fuckers.
That would have been a little weird. Weird, yeah.
It would if it went for 10 whole years, it would have dragged on too long for sure. But it makes me kind of miss that. I get that that was supposed to be part of Gaetia's vibe was that he's 72 guys stacked up together to make a supercomputer. But definitely there were some very funny points with some individuality with some of the pillars that we could have gotten out there. But yeah, no, EOR is a little low, but it's still not that bad.
Well, I said, it's supposed to be... sorry, what? Like I said, I think people, Epic of Remnant was never supposed to be, a big story beat. I think, I said, they came out with 4 of them in 1 year. I think it was just, we need some shit to hold over until we get part 2 actually up and running.
Yeah, it was a stopgap. And, what I was going to say was that even Agartha being kind of bland is... I don't think it was as bad or as much of a nothing as, parts of early FGO stories were. Guys... I've never been as much of a Septum hater because there are some people who are just oh God, Nero. Why is she in so much stuff? Well, it's because Nasu likes her, dumbass. The author likes this character, so guess what, bud? But man, there were parts of Septim where we did a whole lot of fucking nothing for a long time. And the conclusion of that one's still so weird. Fucking Lev just jobs to Altera, who then just goes home. I don't know, man. Like, Agartha, I think, at least trying. And it had some funny in it. Even Orleans has, like, pack filler, basically. So many fucking dragons in the woods, man. Oh. I think Orleans is where we started our meme of just fighting dragons.
It's always wyverns.
I guess what?
I still remember. I can't remember, but I can't remember where it was. Was it when? It was during some event where Kojiro shows up and you just go, "The savior of France."
It's moon viewing, because it's the meeting of the Dragon Slayers. Because it's Georgios, Martha, and Kojiro is there, and you could be surprised at him, and it's like, savior of France. Which, if you don't get, Chet, remember how I made a joke earlier about how we haven't had a brand new assassin since Kashin Kojin, right? Earlier? Assassins have always been that bad. Literally didn't have a 5-star assassin until Jack, who was Christmas? London?
Yes, pre-London.
London Christmas?
It was the New Year time.
End of the first calendar year of FGO, we didn't have a 5-star assassin. I was pretty lucky that I got Carmilla pretty early, but still, like, it was rough. So, like, genuinely, Sasuke Kojiro was considered the budget savior of France because there were a gigaton of rider wyverns to kill, who, back in the day, were a real threat. Those guys with their rando crits, menacing. Real nasty. So, like, Kojiro's ability to just clean guys up, crazy good.
Man, it's like so weird to think about year 1 FGO when we didn't have oodles of monuments and statues to just ascend things. Like, I couldn't, like, max ascend my Tama Cat fucking forever because there used to not be a Berserker class day. You would just randomly get Kentoki, who wasn't even a playable unit at the time, just show up in your freaking Chaldea quests.
Yeah, he was just
and
a
you would
weird
have to
teaser.
Yeah, he was just a weird teaser, and you have to fight him to maybe get the drop. It was...
Yeah, it was very... Like, we talk about, like, max ascending and, like, skilling up servants now with, like, oh, it's a brand new mat, you might have to farm or spend some rare prisms. Like, when every mat was brand new, bronzes were god, because it was like, shit, dude, I don't have... 5-star EXPs didn't exist yet, chat. You were farming 4s, and, like, you needed to farm quite a bit to max out your 4s and 5s. Never mind, of course, that, like I said, 5-star versions of some units didn't fucking exist. Kentoki was not in the game at launch. That was a promo banner later. Like, it was good, but the only 5-star caster permanent was Waver for a while. Like, it was rough. And to this day, I still feel like there are some, like, servants that, like, whiffed me in that moment, which is why I'm still caught up about, like I'm still all about, like, man, AoE assassins, man. Rough. So yeah, no, Kojiro became a huge meme in both English and Japanese because he was the guy to get in there. So yeah, early FGO had its rough moments. Also, I was saying this earlier, but I will say, because we're about to go to free talk, we're at a mailbag. But hey, let's say spoilers, guys. But guess what? Paper Moon, Ordeal Call number 1. There's one singular wyvern node. They brought it back one more time, chat. One last time, at least, you must fight wyverns. But since we're in free talk, let's do new servant deeds. Let's talk about Lilith.
Yay!
She's real. She's a berserker. I didn't double check the exact numbers because that's a little rougher as we keep getting more and more units. But I believe she's higher attack, lower HP. She's at the state where she's almost got parity. She's like 12k with some slightly different hundreds. So pretty close. Her normal phantasm is single target quick. Actually,
Yeah.
She gets 30% damage up as a buff versus lawful and good first. Hits the enemies for 1k each of curse and poison for 3 turns, and also 20% defense down for 3 turns, flat. Also makes them chaotic and evil for 3 turns. I believe the way the pink diamond buff works is it's in addition to your alignment, so she doesn't, like, cuck herself out of damage if you're damaging lawfuls and goods. It's just that they also now count as chaotic evil, which can be very funny for other team comps. And her overcharge effect is more damage, actually. It's increased damage multiplier versus charmed enemies, starting at 150%. So basically a free NP multiplier if you're targeting somebody who is, like, a free NP level, basically, if you're targeting somebody who's charmed. If you have multiple overcharge levels, ooh, baby.
I hope you're ready. I am going to make the Lilith team combo, and it's going to be amazing.
Well, I'll probably hit like hell too. Cause how does Lilith charm? Well, guess what, everybody? Her first skill is a 150% charm chance versus one enemy. That's right, your normal debuff resist won't save you now. It's also 30 to 50% crit res down for 3 turns for that enemy, and also generates 20 to 30 stars. You will become Pain Pekko. Her second skill is a pretty normal one. It's 20 to 30% arts and quick up for 3 turns, 2-3 evade. Oh, I forgot to list her card as well. She's QQAA. High hit counts, slightly below average NP gain. She's 0.4, but she has 5 hits on her quicks and 4 on her arts, so pretty good generation. So her second skill gives you her 2 color buffs, and it's also a 2 hits, 3 turns evade. We love a berserker with hard defenses in this house. And final skill, Pierce Anvil for 3 turns. Fuck you, no invincible. 20 to 30% attack up for 3 turns on herself, and is a 50% battery. But it makes her 30% more weak to mental debuffs. So, charm, sleep, terror, confusion, etc. Her passives, she has Madness Enhancement EX, so her 1 buster card hits real good. She has Divinity for a little bit of damage plus, and she has a unique passive for a 10% bonus damage at all times versus living human enemies. Yes, I believe she is pig immune. She also has, like, Goddess, Divine, some other stuff. Like I said, I think FGO went a little harder on the Mesopotamian stuff, but it works. But yeah, I don't really have a lot else to say about this kit. It feels like it's got all the stuff that's effective. She has quite a lot of bonus damage. Like, she's got a buff to give herself extra damage versus alignments. She does bonus damage versus charm. She's got multiple offensive steroids. She has follow-up to do crit stuff, which is great for a quick unit. She's got charm strats if you're into that. She's got dots. She does alignment manipulation. You know, forcing enemies to become chaotic evil can be very strong. All kinds of options. Very fun stuff here. Also, she has giant scissors. Apparently, she's been watching Kill la Kill. That is Lilith. Like I said, her kit's good. There's no, like, super unique mechanics here, but she does a lot of good things at once. Curse them, poison them. 20% defense down. Very fun stuff. Means if you can loop that shit, that's pretty good. We love to see it. Which means we can move on to the Pia Pia Moon pregame. So, like I said, we've been going for 2 hours 20 here. It's almost daily reset. Everybody log in. You got 2 minutes.
I have no store pod, so I know I have a log in. Huzzah.
Yeah. But I am speeding a little bit here, but that's because my first note of this is Paper Moon pregame. Here comes Paper Moon if I'm not too dead to write this, because I mentioned this earlier, but allergies really going crazy lately. Like I said, basically at the hay fever stage where, you know, I took a 24-hour thing, so I'm good, but it's like, you know, runny nose, sneezing, itchy eyes, coughing. So, while my drugs kicked in, I did write this, but I do have a few other things to talk about in the What's Up zone, so we'll get through what we got going on. Because we have a humble 17 acts for you this time. Baby stuff compared to some previous stories. You know, even LB7, way longer than this. I think this is, in fact, shorter than basically every Lost Belt. But we'll be getting through it. First of all, this is going to be a new story drop. New mats. You've got Vestiges, technically Vestiges of Madness, but they're called Vestiges for short. You can also call them marbles. They're big purple orbs. Orbs. And Ether Photons. Vestiges you get from a new mob. I'm actually kind of surprised it took them this long to do this, but Ether Photons are a new drop for old enemies. All the old Seraph guys, the CCC type enemies.
Oh, the little X's?
Yeah, the X's and the horned guys and the shapeshiftery guys.
Oh, okay.
Like, all those guys basically get grandfathered to be Ether Photons.
Okay.
I think it's only the versions of them in the, like, the Paper Moon map, but yeah, it's not a new mob type, it's just they made a new variant for this, and they drop a new material. Completing this story will get you 16 Saint Quartz, a Grail. It will unlock both Bhima and Duryodhana in the summon pool. They are both story locked. You get a CE, we're still doing that. As mentioned earlier, it unlocks the class card for alter egos, and also, because this is main story progression, you're gonna get lots of mats, lots of EXPs, lots of rare prisms, lots of quartz frags. Okay, so this is exactly 1 chapter longer than LB3. I don't know if this will feel longer or not. I think there are less fights in this one. There's at least one node that's nothing but dialogue. Actually, there's a couple. The last one's just epilogue. But yeah, so there's a few out here. I do want to say that the story's going to have some classic Grail War type vibes. You're specifically going to be dealing with 7 guys. For most of this, expect to have your equipped master skills replaced with Sion skills, TM. Sion's master skills, she can buff offense. I believe it's one guy gets, like, attack up, NP damage up, etc. She can stun enemies, just stun button, and also has an order change. So all your highlights, chat. 1 offensive master skill, 1 stun, 1 order change. You will also have some asides where you're going to do solos with servants, and you will have no master skills and command spells because you are not their master. You will play as one of the other servants in this setup. So we're going to be doing some fun stuff with perspectives and, boxing you out of using master mystic codes and master skills and command seals. But not all the time, just some of the time. Mobs, you're going to use a lot of old Seraph mobs who are going to be archers, raiders, casters. And there are the new Berserker mob. Hey, remember I was talking about how, Salem was at least a big cornerstone because we put the Mythos in your FGO? So your new mobs are Berserker mobs. They are Thonians and large Thonians. That's with the CH in front of it. Oh. So they're wormy little guys. Well, except for the large one. The large one is not a little guy. He's a very big guy.
Oh, great. I love the one that walks.
Yeah, I don't know if these ones walk so much as slurp, but they're out there. They drop the new Vestiges of Madness. The old Seraph guys drop Ether Photons. Overall, the difficulty shouldn't be quite as high as LB7. We're kind of gradually ratcheting. It looks like mainly the difficulty comes from the fact that we're using the special master setup for more structured challenges. You gotta 1v1 some stuff. But there are a few of the big fights that have specific mechanics to make up for it. But otherwise, you have pretty normal HP values. There's one fight where you got to do 800k, shit like that. But usually it's more manageable chunks. You are, after all, going to be doing this right after unlocking class score. So they got to put a little bit of pressure, but also they're not going to overwhelm you. So here's some fights that I should warn you about. Act 2, you got to fight solo a 463k Berserker with your solo servant is Kama, and you got Sion skills. That's it, solo Kama. Act 4, Battle 2 is a fake fight with Caster. This one has 912, 1 million HP. You don't even got to worry about that. I believe the way I understand this works is the battle ends after Caster uses NP, which either will happen normally or will proc automatically when you break the first bar. But it was phrased on the wiki as battle ends after enemy uses NP. So stall it out. Thug it out. Act 5.2, solo with Saber Medusa. Just live 3 turns. This is also, by the way, I think why people were like, Saber Medusa, Saber Medusa. It's because she's a playable support servant in this too, so it's she's real. She's coming. Kama's in this a lot. So, Act 5.3, Caster's back. It's the for real boss fight. Has 456 and 505k HP. Starts the battle with 1 hit, 1 turn invul, and gets that back every turn. So use Pierce or just suck up that you're going to lose an attack card every turn. Battle ends when they're defeated. They're going to have 5 Thonians with them spawning for backup all the time. They got a shitload of mobs. After break bar number 1, they get increased damage versus women, but decreased charm resistance from women. Specifically checks for female both times. Act 5.4, there's a single large Chthonian. This one's funny because this battle is won even if you wipe, but you don't get drops. The battle ends either after 4 turns, you wipe, or the enemy fires NP. So basically, after 4 turns pass, or if the enemy fires their NP and you die, the battle's still over. Act 6 has more large Chthonian nonsense. The big one is 582, 631, 728k HP. After 2 of those breaks, the battle ends. And in Act 8, we do something similar. The battle ends after Big Worm uses NP. There's a lot of Big Worm stuff going on here. Gotta get ready to ride the worm. Walk without rhythm. Won't disturb the worm. And then we fast forward all the way to Act 10. We're over halfway through. You actually get to fight Ryder. So the first battle with Ryder is 895k HP. The battle ends after break 1, so I think the second bar is 1 million again, but it doesn't matter. It's not real. The actual fight is 603, 414, 625k HP. The boss loses increasing amount of HP per turn. It starts with 1,000, and then basically every break bar, it gets another 1,000 added to that, so steadily decreasing HP. But they get offensive buffs, and they get debuff immunity, just permanently. But they only use extra attack. In Act 11, you fight random mobs, so you get a double Cerberus fight at the end. 419, 390k HP, just 2 Cerberuses, watch out for that. Act 12, you gotta fight Saber. Saber has 227, 242, and 284k HP, has a permanent defense up, and summons a Cerberus ad indefinitely. Basically, they don't keep summoning Cerberus ads to fill up the screen, but if you kill the Cerberus, they summon a new Cerberus, so you'll never be rid of the Cerberus. This boss starts with 2 hits of invul. They remove a defensive buff when normal attacking. Break bar number 1 is the remove of all debuffs on self and instantly NP. Break number 2, They become debuff immune permanently and get a chance to insta-kill petrified enemies. So, a little annoying, but the HP values are fairly small. You should be able to clock, less than 250 HP with some effort. Just gotta pace it out. Act 14, we're gonna get real. Archer. Archer shows up. It's a Grail War. It's Archer. You gotta fight Archer like a billion times. The first time, you just gotta get through their first HP bar at 436k, but they recover 20k HP every turn. And every turn they get 1 turn of defense up and NP damage up. So they're just constantly thugging it out. Fight 2, 515, 615k HP. They still have the heal. They still have the NP damage up. Also, after you break the first bar, they get 5 turns of Pierce Invul and remove class disadvantages. Just get rid of them. We're not disadvantaging. The third fight is the fight for all the marbles. 304, 407, 502k HP. Your skill cooldowns are halved. You're still using Sion skills, and their cooldowns are halved. Break number 1 gives no disadvantages. Break number 2 gives 3 times 5 turns of debuff immune, and also gives a 50k guts. But if I'm reading this right on the wiki, the guts is only 1 turn, so it goes away. But if you proc the guts, the enemy gets max NP, Pierce Invul for 1 turn, and 5 stacks of NP damage up, so either strip the guts or don't trigger the guts. Your Bargus strats you gotta watch out for. Act 15 is the technical boss finish. It's Kama all the way versus an alter ego. First fight, you just gotta live 6 turns. The final fight is real. 264, 306, 330, 410k HP, 4 break bars. They're back on their bullshit. Heal 20k each turn. NP damage up every turn. They have 5 hits of all types of damage resistance. So a little bit of stall out there. At their break bars, they'll get anti-demonic and anti-divine. The first fight, the 6-turn one is solo. The second one is just you get NPC Kama. NPC Kama gets big story buffs for the real fight, so use her. Oh, and the second break bar, they gain an NP tick when they kill enemies and clear the debuffs. I mean, if each Ordeal Call does have a main heroine, this one probably is Sion and Kama, yes, because Kama is the story support you get the most of. Chapter 16 is basically a denouement. You have a couple of solo battles of NPCs and 1v1s. You just have to finish out the Grail War shit. So like I said, those are going to be specific story 1v1s. And that's it. There'll be some free quests added, I believe, actually. I forgot to double check in my notes. Let me go grab that real quick. How many free quests there are. Because that'll be more askew. Free quests... Paper Moon. Looks like 11 free quests. So that's 11 more Saint Quartz. So you'll get not quite a 30 from this. Not quite an 11 spin. But you got frags and other stuff to go for. And your banners for this should start with Lancer Bima 4-star Durodana. Then there will be a Kama Landling Double Giles. And then the third banner will be Limited Servant Durga and Durodana. There's an H and a Y in there. But yeah, some of these fights should be a little spicy, but hey, guess what? They gave you rocks. They reloaded you on rocks. Buy rocks now. So you should be able to, as I've been joking all night, thug it out and just deal with it. And when they're not solo fights, I will say, because there are so many Berserker mobs, foreigners are going to go brazy. Though honestly, yeah, some mobs are archers, but a lot of these are cavalry class. I might just have T-Mac go crazy. But yeah, should be interesting. And like I said, Lucky should have a good time because, there's a lot of Kama in this story, and there's a lot of, obviously this is Durga's debut. And I will be happy because there's going to be some Medusa in this. And some new guys. And some old guys. Also, Robin in chat being like, let's see if this call is immune to Draco. The biggest story boss is an alter ego. Other than that, no. Like I said, they're kind of going for a Grail War vibe, so there's going to be like 7 primary servants who are not in extra classes.
I'm sorry, it's just the thought of, yes, you must go and, absolve, figure out your sins. You're just like, anyway, here's Draco.
In the same tone of voice that you say, anyway, here's Wonderwall.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Just hold
like
Draco
said,
up like that one reject picture of a Kama being held up like a cat. Just,
so yeah, good. I'm kind of, like I said, the big climax boss of this is an alter ego, but there's not a lot of alter ego action prior to that. I'm very curious to see how this shakes up. But like I said, should be interesting. There's a lot of funny extra characters, and there'll be some weird cameos and stuff. So it should be a fun time. And like I said, it feels like they're getting ready to ratchet. They're gonna softball us into Ordeal Call before they start crushing our hopes and dreams. Which I do believe, I have been warned, starts as early as Ordeal Call 2. That's when we crush your soul. But Omega, there's 2 more Ordeal Calls after that. Did I stutter? Bam. Ordeal Call. Paperman. A lot of fun. And like I said, hopefully it's a little more manageable to get through, especially if people are, feeling burdened upon by these fucking multi-part stories we've had for the past 3 major Lost Belts. 5 literally in 2 halves, 2 maps, 6 in 3 drops, 7 and 2. But yeah, that's all about it for what I got written down for Free Talk. Sorry, let me push my mic a little closer. We're about 2:40, but we got some stuff we can hit up.
Yeah!
I wrote some stuff down. I'm trying to think where I want to fire through, because I don't know how I'm a little short of breath feeling. I don't know how much forever I got, but there's some stuff I definitely want to talk about.
Okay. Well, where do you want to start?
I think technically in maybe not full reverse order for what I got written down, but I think talking about Death Stranding 2 previews is probably the shorter topic of these for now.
Yeah, I can take point a little bit on this. Because I definitely think I noticed first and started posting about it, and then realized it was actually a huge, big media tour. Because, yes, actually, Kojima Productions actually did a big media tour for Death Stranding 2. It has gone gold, and they have, basically invited several people, including influencers and various news outlets, to come and try a demo of the game. Apparently, they got to play what we can consider the first 40 hours of Death Stranding 2, which Kojima says is only about 30% of the game. And a lot of people have been given their impressions, and they are saying it is basically the Metal Gear Solid to the Metal Gear Solid 2 upgrade. With a lot of the concepts are the same, but a lot has been refined. There's more tools, more ways to do combat, more interesting things. You can unlock a music player now and stuff, and listen to music.
Combat. I think that I don't think we've really been thinking about it, because the original Death Stranding was fairly close to the end of the PS4 life cycle, and it got the next gen upgrade. But it is a generation jump.
No, it is.
So,
a lot of people have been talking about how, their retrospective on Death Stranding was since it was, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the first of its kind, but it was definitely something new and unique, and maybe had its own stumbling blocks. But going into Death Stranding 2, they have been able to improve some stumbling blocks and make a much better, more compact experience. For example, instead of relying on a lot of heavy exposition, they have pulled the FF16 idea of just having, what did they call it? They call it the Codex? The Codus? They're going to have basically a system in Death Stranding 2 where you can, mid-conversation, pull up something when, that you see, a special keyword. You can pull something up and, just read it then and there, so you don't necessarily have to have exposition or have a notebook of everything that's happening. Which a lot of people are saying has helped make the story move a lot faster, as they didn't have to keep reiterating points. No one talked about spoilers or whatnot, and, good on them for that. But people are saying that they are very excited. Apparently, what they did mention is that the way the story goes is, for reasons, you need to go to Mexico, and then the majority of the game actually takes place in Australia.
Yeah, that's something I read. The coverage is mostly Australia and Mexico, which is an interesting expansion over America, but definitely I think gives us a wide variety of things to cover.
I was actually reading one of the Australian reviewers who was actually very pleased with the Aussie influence and landscapes in it. Because I believe they remarked that even though you're walking across America, it didn't actually feel like you're walking across America. Felt like you were more walking across, maybe the Alps in Europe or something. Which, was beautiful and majestic in its own way, but didn't necessarily feel very American. He says that has been, it'll definitely feel like you are wandering around Australia at points, which he highlighted. But they go on to say that, like I said, a lot of movement and combat has been refined. It is still a walking simulator. You still are delivering packages. I say walking simulator with affection, though, mind you.
Yep.
But they have expanded on combat and what, and a lot of people are saying it feels almost Metal Gear Solid 5-ish.
Yeah, I think I saw somewhere, I don't remember if it was a news thing or it was something that Kojima himself retweeted, but apparently, the kind of, action vibes of the game got so intense that, even some of the rest of the dev crew was like, is this okay? Are we getting a little too Metal Gear Solid right now?
This Kojima did, I think he did tweet about this in something, but Kojima was like, no, it's fine. I never sneak through any of the bases anyway, because again, it's one of those things of while things are more tactical, you have more options and whatnot. You can, It is apparently approaching a much more do things your kind of way. They have just given you the tools to sneak through, blaze through, or just avoid combat entirely. It is completely up to the player now. There will probably be some mandatory sections, debating on story, but we will see. Kojima has gone off into these on these articles talking about this game probably did end up a little bit more like Metal Gear than he originally intended, but that is probably because the influence of everyone expecting him to make a new Metal Gear. It is what he is known for, and I think in the most recent years, he has kind of come to accept that. He is going to be the Metal Gear guy for the rest of his days.
Yeah, it's one of those things of like his personal saga of like wanting to quit making Metal Gear, but Konami keeps bringing him back to make Metal Gears. And we've talked about this when we did our retrospective of the Master Collection, is like Kojima reused a lot of set pieces and ideas from Metal Gears trying to get it right.
Yep.
Like he never saw an idea that he did, and if he like couldn't improve it with new technology, didn't like reuse it.
Like again,
which obviously
talking
is why
about
the series has many callbacks and stuff.
Yeah, again, talking about like playing Metal Gear 2, just seeing so many things being reused in later Gears. I'm just like, oh.
I think the funniest one was just the helicopter fight, right? Like that, because that was in both the Metal Gear games, and then became the Hind D fight in Solid, which became the Harrier fight in 2. I assume that means that either the Hind D or the Harrier was like Kojima's platonic idea of that fight, because that idea finally didn't come back for Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah, no, I don't think we fought any aircraft in 3.
No, not really. And you don't really fight any tanks either.
No, I think the Shagahad is the closest thing, but that doesn't really count.
That still counts as like our Metal Gear fight equivalent.
That's our Metal Gear fight.
But like 3, I think is when Kojima really went back to his roots of just like, no, we're doing new shit for boss fights, and it's going to be fucking weird. 4 was like, that was the one he intended to end the series, and chronologically it's still the latest one he made, so it's the conclusion of Snake's story. But like, that one involves loads of callbacks, because like you've got like Crying Wolf is like a wombo combo of Sniper Wolf and Fortune's boss fight. Raging Raven is kind of like those flying enemies, because she flies around and has lots of drones and bombs your ass.
I never liked the arena for that, because you kind of fight her in like, what is like a clock tower or something?
Yeah, you go up a clock tower, and no, that one's not great. Especially because the drones will blow up some of the fucking walls, too. It's okay, that chapter has the fucking motorcycle sequence in it. Love that shit.
Ugh, call me Big Mama. Ugh.
But yeah, no, the like, God. I don't think Laughing Octopus was that much of a callback to any other ones either, but that fight's great. There's so many weird shit she does in that fight. And Screaming Mantis is literally involves a Psycho Mantis cameo. Lots of callbacks, yeah. So like you said, Kojima's a guy who will iterate on old ideas. So I think that like Death Stranding 2 is just like, he did something brand new with Death Stranding, and then now he's like, I did make Metal Gear. Also, I mean, when did he announce Fizzant? Like, when?
I think it was a year before last at the Game Awards.
Yeah, because I think it was either at the same time or shortly before he showed the first Death Stranding 2 trailer.
Something like that.
So I would assume that means that since he's announced it, and that probably means it's like not literally funded, but like he's got publishers and shit lined up.
No, I think it has it. Like, honestly, I think like I can fully say Hideo Kojima is an auteur, and he has influence in circles. Like the first interview I read talked about how like Koji Pro offices are laid out and how it's all kind of weird and surreal, and they have their board of actors, actresses, directors, and all those kind of people just showing off. Like, no, I'm pretty sure if Kojima says, "Hey, I want to make a game," people start beating down, start beating a path to his door. So no, I think right now, I think Fizzant is still probably on the back burner because he still has I don't know what the fuck's going on with OD.
Yeah, it's
I haven't
a
heard
really
anything
weird
about that
project
shit.
that's like related to his working with Xbox, and then also it's got Jordan Peele involved. But definitely, I think Fizzant is still in pre-pro, if you could even call it
definitely.
Production.
Yeah. So
but that if he's thinking about making that game at the same time they've been in the tank, in the can, developing DS2, of course there's going to be a little bleed over,
Mm-hmm.
But sounds great. Going gold, getting all these elements in there, and just you and me didn't think Death Stranding was bad. Some people did bounce off it because of the walking, delivering packages simulation part.
I've talked about this. I liked the game. I enjoyed the game. I platinumed the game. Fun fact. It probably still missed me with some of the maybe some of the nuances and the subtlety that Kojima was trying to get across. Because unfortunately, Kojima as an auteur, as a creative, he puts layers upon fucking layers upon fucking layers in his games. Some of them are easy to see, some of them you might get with a little bit of thinking, and some you'll just fucking completely miss.
He is definitely a deeper thinker, and like I saw somebody phrase it best when talking about Metal Gear Solid 5, like watching. I mentioned it before. It's the Chip Cheesem LP series on it, which is crazy good, and you should absolutely watch if you haven't, because Chip edited so much stuff. Well, here's the thing, Axe. Parts of the games are unsubtle. Parts of the games are very subtle. But like Metal Gear Solid 5, they joke that like Kojima read like 3 books when producing this game. Death Stranding is kind of the same way. Like he has a couple of very specific thematics he wants to hit, and it's just some stuff very surface level. You know, Sam, Porter, Bridges, America together. You know, holding hands type shit. We should be connected. The stick in the like. Some of it's like so obvious. You know, people make jokes about Kojima character names, but it's also like that's part of the obvious bits. Die Hardman, stuff like that. And then, I mean, talking about character names are unsubtle. Yes, they're very specific, but also like, chat, how many of you understood the things in Death Stranding about the BTs and the extinction event signifiers and like the great extinctions of our time? You remember those things? It's kind of a big deal in the climax. Did you catch all that? Because some of that stuff was a little meaty for me to chew, and I am not afraid to admit I am pretty well read and familiar with a diversity of themes and story concepts, and like Death Stranding had some heavy shit. Yeah, Robin and Chad
Death Stranding.
Of course they did.
Well, see, here's the thing, Axe. You will look at the game and go, maybe it's this or maybe or not, and you'll never fully freaking know. That's why I mean, like, there's complexity to the layers because different people get out different things from Death Stranding, and that's why I will never.
So I'm just going to say, to Axe's comment, oh, the BTs are maybe a representation of how it looks to see people playing Metal Gear Solid 5? What? Huh? You're reading too much into that. That's crazy. I don't know if Hideo Kojima wanted to think that much about Metal Gear Solid 5 after leaving Konami, you know? Like, he got out of that building, but that can also be a valid interpretation, and you're going to see some very interesting new interpretations, I think, in stuff talking about, like, when we see Death Stranding 2, right? Because he straight up mentioned that they started pre-pro on that game during COVID. So, like, there's going to be COVID stuff in there. And I think there's a lot of interesting questions. Go ahead.
Fun fact, I do remember seeing this. It was actually interesting when you cross the border from the U.S. to Mexico. There is a wall there. Which, that says something. What it says something, who knows?
I mean, there's a very pointed thing in the trailer with a monologue of a guy talking about the singular thing that is American gun culture, which is very uniquely American. And I think that because Hideo Kojima is a guy who likes action movies, like, he has related to that culture from the outside. That's a big influence on his games. But also, in case you don't know, despite the fact that he makes games with, like, cool war guys with cool war guns, Hideo Kojima's not a pro-war guy. Like, most of his games are about how war sucks, actually. Like, they're almost, like, ironically about, like, man, we make some very cool toys to do some very fucked up shit. Guns are really neat. We do very stupid things with them, you know?
No. And so, but, like, actually reading these interviews reminded me to go pre-order Death Stranding, so I went and did that along with Ghost of Yote. I was like, I'm gonna lock that shit in right now before I forget. Also, I should probably make sure I get Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta locked in, too. When is that coming out?
August, I think. I think it's the month before Yote.
I think it's on my birthday.
Yote's October.
I feel like it was on my birthday, and that's why I was like, shit.
It's August.
But no, no. But honestly, from what I have read of these interviews, they are all universally praising Death Stranding 2. From what they've seen, they aren't necessarily commenting on the story, but a lot of them seem to like it and are saying it is much more tighter, compact, less exposition. That's left up to their codex. I don't remember what they call it. So, and like I said, there's the game feel is good. The mechanics are good. Even though you're doing the same thing, walking around doing packages, there's enough stuff to do out in the world, things to build, bases to fight that you don't necessarily feel bored for too long, which is good. So no, I'm doubling down. I'm excited for Death Stranding 2. I can't wait to play it. I'll not be getting the collector's edition because, boy howdy, I don't want to buy a collector's edition that doesn't have the game in it.
Yeah. shit sucks.
Shit sucks. I think this was the problem with the first Death Stranding, too.
I also want to throw
finally got
this
the
out there, and I think I feel confident saying this, talking about this thing. Like, talking about how, like, the story seems tighter, they got a lot of gameplay stuff going on. I think in interviews I've seen, like Twitter, clip this out of context or something, but as far as I know from this press tour, Kojima said he's not planning on a Death Stranding 3, so Death Stranding 2 is kind of they're leaving it all on the dance floor kind of a thing. Like, it sounds like Kojima's plan was like, no, use all your ideas, use all of them, give me everything, let's go. And so it's going to be a more expansive, project. Like, I think, they're talking about, like, estimating how long it'll take to clear. They're talking about, like, it could be, like, a 75-hour game for a normal clear time. And be, like, that's much meatier. Obviously, you and I were both freaks and put hundreds of hours into the original Death Stranding. But moving packages is very cathartic, okay?
Listen, I was in there day one when they didn't have all the player-built structures to help you out. I was the one building structures for everyone else that came after me.
Well, Lucky, do you have anything else to say about DS2? Because you've accidentally handed me a perfect segue.
No, go for it. What's next, buddy?
For those who come after, we continue. Clair Obscur. I bought it. I bought it yesterday. I'm like 6 hours in. This game's great. It's wonderful. It's amazing. Love it. I got most of my... Yeah, for those who come after. I got most of my rambling about, like, the mechanic stuff out of the way earlier of just, like... I know that the devs themselves kind of said they were inspired by Final Fantasies, but mechanically the game is not like Final Fantasy. I will attempt to do as Lucky usually does and break down some of your core mechanics for you. First of all, yes, Axe made the joke now a million years ago, literally like 2 hours ago. Well, probably more like 2.5 hours because we're getting close to the 3 hour mark, but it is a FRPG. It is a French RPG for sure. It is, yes, the opening is extremely French. It is, the music vocals are still in French. Everything is super French. You start in the city of Lumiere, which is very clearly Paris, but fucked up. We exploded Paris. So, like, it's super Parisian. It's also very noir in, like, the classical French cinema way. In the opening, was literally thinking to myself, man, this is so French. The only way this could get more French if it was black and white. And then something dramatic is happening in the prologue, and they do the black and white filter. Like, it is unbelievably French. Yeah, they drew a lot from, like, Premiere drama as well for, like, camera angles and stuff. I also want to say the other thing it, like, really reminds me of is art, and especially visual arts and painting. There's so much going on with, like, your currency is called chroma. There is a system based around basically paint colors called smears. Literally the quote-unquote big bad of the game is called the paint tress. So, like, almost everything is a metaphor for either, like, cinematography, the act of, like, taking pictures, or painting. Like, so much painting stuff. And I'm reasonably certain, my French is not perfect, but I'm pretty sure Clair Obscur is meant to mean, like, it's like, yeah, it literally means light and dark. Clair is light, Obscur is dark, obviously. So that could, I learned that term as the Italian phrase, which is chiaroscuro. But if you've listened to our two podcasts, you've heard me talk about chiaroscuro before. That is the interplay in paint between light and dark. And also, in French, works as a way to talk about grayscale, monochrome stuff. Like, it's very arty. Also talking about how French it is. There's a lot of merdes, even in the English dub. Occasionally you get a putain. And if shit's really bad, you get a putain de merde. Also, I want to say this. Obviously, like, because he's such a king, we've heard a lot about Ben Starr. I'm only 6 hours in. I haven't even met Ben Starr yet. I haven't met his character. People have talked a little bit about this, but I have to talk. Our main character, Gustave, is Charlie Cox, a.k.a. Daredevil. Though I've been a big fan of him since I think I first saw him in Boardwalk Empire. He is killing it. And I think this is his first, like, video game-ass main voice role. He is killing it in this game. Brilliant work. Love this shit. It's great. Lucky, I can tell you, you're probably going to like this game because our main characters are in their 30s.
Oh, no, I've heard about this. No, and it does please me already.
Yes. But because of the way the setting works, the game makes jokes about them being old. Yeah, Maya's a teenager, but she's the token kid. She's the kid you gotta look after.
No, it makes sense. No, I am glad. Like, I've seen some people, like I said, like, I'm on Twitter. I shouldn't be, but I am. Like I said, I have my reasons. I listen to these, and I do check on what people are saying, and people are talking about how they are getting pissed about content seeing like the youngins and the high schoolers and their RPGs, and that's never really bothered me. But as I am getting older, there are like I can kind of remember the struggles I had as a kid, but I can't fully relate to teenagers every day. So having characters that are feeling their age might be up there, maybe a little worn down and beaten up in their own regard. No, that's good. That's good. That's great. We need more of it. Do not be afraid to have older characters.
That's what I say. Like unironically, the Final Fantasy that I think this is the most like thematically is honestly 16, because it's a lot darker and grittier right out the bat. Like ennui and encroaching doom is a huge part of the prologue. Even like this game starts off being like, yeah, shit's fucked. Shit's a little fucked. But like this is not like about teenagers or young 20-somethings sorting our shit out. This is a story where every character's in the same age bracket as Barrett Wallace, basically, except Mael, who, like I said, who's the token teenager, and some other weird shit that may be going on. So like it's a very interesting thing of just like dealing with these people, and like, yeah, everybody's acted very well. I only have 3 party members, but they're all pretty good. So to deal with the thing, like I said, Lucky usually is first to hop on these games, do these mechanical breakdowns, but I'll do my best. So gameplay is fully turn-based. You always can see who's coming next on the side of the screen. Got that little feature. And the way you do combat, like I said, the UI in turn-based combat feels very SMT influenced, and I say specifically feels like Persona 5 because literally you pull the trigger to enter shoot mode. Because you have shoot mode. Everybody has ranged attacks. You can do this to free aim. You don't do this just to like surprise enemies, though. Most enemies have glowing weak spots that you can shoot. Or do other interesting interactions. For instance, in one of the areas of the game, there are enemies who have, like, they're holding sea mines like balloons. Well, if you shoot the sea mine, it explodes and does AoE damage to the whole enemy team. So, like, there's lots of stuff out there. Some enemies have parts you can break off. Other enemies, it's just, like, you can do extra damage and stuff. So, free aiming is a mechanic. Your other buttons are item, skill, attack. And you can choose to skip turn. No, gun only is not viable because every shot you fire with your gun uses 1 AP. This is the primary mechanic. You have so much AP you can hold. I think the max you can get is 10. You build AP with basic attacks, and other stuff we'll talk about in a second when I talk about how enemy turns work. But basic attacks get you an AP. You can also get AP other ways, and you can like decrease AP cost. But generally, if you're going to use skills, cost you AP. You can equip it to 6 skills at a time, and these all have a bunch of different stuff. And so far, and I'm sure it'll be the way it is, every party member has unique mechanics and also has unique skill trees. And then there's also shared stuff you can do. So there is a lot of the like interesting mix and match stuff in terms of like RPG characters. But you do a basic attack, that gets you 1 AP. Then you can use skills. Skills cost AP. Every attack but your basic ones has basically timed hits. You'll see a little diagonal pull up and it'll win through, and you hit X at the right time, you get a perfect hit, you do extra damage. You don't, like, fail the attack if you whiff the timing. It's just you get more if you get that perfect timing. So that's good. You have elemental damages as well. I think it's just the 4. You got fire, lightning, ice, earth. I haven't seen any more elements. And you can also do, like, basic physical damage. Like, you have different weapons you equip, and they have different elements and different stats and stuff. And like I said, everybody has slightly different mechanics. Gustav has a overcharge meter that slowly builds up as you do actions. When it's full, some of his things, like one of his starting abilities, and I assume later abilities down the tree, do more damage because he has lightning in his robot arm. Also, yes, Gustav has a robot arm.
As is proper.
So, you build up overcharge and you let it out for big blacky attacks. And generally the way his like accessible skills and vibes work is Gustav seems kind of like all-rounder, even tanky. Like, he can do team buffs, he can heal, acquire a skill to heal himself a couple of different ways and stuff like that. The other character you get right away, like outside the prologue, is Lune, who is your magic woman, the woman of magic. Her weapons are basically like paint palettes. So her mechanic is, as she uses abilities, she gains stains, which are either the colors corresponding to the 4 elements, so red, blue, green, and yellow, or she gets a light stain, which is white, which can be used to substitute for any color. She can hold 4 at a time. And basically the way her abilities work is, first of all, almost all of her skills are like elemental shit. So, like, she does, like, fucking thunderbolts and shoots fire and throws ice at people, all that stuff. Lots of, like, AoEs or focus damage. She also has, like, the skills you can pick up to heal, res, etc., that kind of stuff, right? So, Magic Woman. But the way her abilities work is her skills will consume stains to do extra shit while generating more stains. So, you kind of, like, set up to be, like one of the combos I like to do right now is, do her basic fire attack, set my opponent on fire, then use her thermal shock ability, which is an ice attack, but it does better damage and gets extra shit if they're burning. So you kind of ping-pong back and forth and stuff like that. And then the third-party member you get a little bit later, but you've met her already in the prologue, is mentioned Gustav's young apprentice, Mael. Mael has a rapier. She is a fencer, so her system is all about stances. So in her offensive stance, she does more damage or takes more damage. In her defensive stance is the inverse, and then she has her virtuoso stance where she does lots of extra damage, but you have to set up, and all of her abilities will either switch her stance, or if you're staying in the same stance at the end, she goes back to being stanceless. So like I said, everybody has unique abilities in Youth Combat. All of your major attacks are timed. And then also enemy turns involve a lot of timing. So if it's your turn, you can just chill out and put this game down. When enemies are going, you want to pay attention. There are already loads of memes about this, because as far as I can tell, so far anyway, like there may be enemy attacks later that are like undodgeable for the challenge, but every enemy attack that they do on you can be dodged. So far I have 3 options. You can hit circle to dodge. Dodging is easier, you have better windows, but there are passive abilities you can get to get AP back if you perfect dodge. You can also try to parry with R1. Parrying generates AP if you do it successfully, and if you do it with perfect timing, you get to counterattack, but the parry windows are much tighter. And then the last I've unlocked is sometimes enemies do big ground sweep attacks. You got jump, but if you yump, you can jump counter. Basically guaranteed. So it's like specific attacks will have specific interactions. And between like timed hits and timed dodges, it's turn-based, but it feels way more proactive, right? Like, almost never am I just sitting back, letting the other team like wail on me, waiting for my turn to come back up. When enemies are going, I'm watching out, I'm looking for their tells, and I'm being like, okay, yep, dodge. Or I can parry this, or we need to jump, that kind of thing. Watching the timing, because everything will have a timing where it is dodgeable or parryable. You got to work on projectiles and stuff. So like I said, it's a lot more interactive and reactive for a game that is still very firmly turn-based. And there's definitely something satisfying about, like, you run into a new enemy type, you don't know his tells, he just fucking slaps the shit out of you for a couple fights, and then you get to that one fight and you're like, oh, motherfucker, I've read your book now. I see the tell. Dodge. And I was going to mention this earlier, but I decided to come back to it. One thing that I think is different, I won't say it's, like, unique, but I definitely don't see a lot of games do this, but I really like how they handle items. I feel like they almost took cues for items, like, on a FromSoft style. So you do not have infinite big bags of shitloads of items you can use, consumables, right? Instead, out of battle, you have Chrome Elixirs, which you have so many uses of, which you replenish at checkpoints. That heals the whole party. They refresh when you hit expedition flags and basically hit a save point. The game auto-saves all the time, but, you have save points where they do this, where you can rest and refresh stuff. So they go through that. So no more do you have the problem of being like, well, I have to save these mega elixirs for a real fight. You get your team-wide elixirs every checkpoint. And then also you have 3 colors of flash that you get to use in battle. You have health recovery, AP recovery, revives. You start with only one of these each checkpoint, but as time goes on and you explore and get optional rewards, you can increase the number of these you get, and you get to increase the size of them so they're more potency. So you do have a limited number of items, but it's not like you have to keep buying them from the store, right? You just have X to use between checkpoints. So I like this a lot better because I will say, you gotta be careful. Using an item does use your turn, so, use them wisely. But, like, I don't feel bad about going like, oh shit, somebody's dead, I need to pop a revive. Because I'm like, it's not like playing, like I said, the UI is very Persona-esque, but it's not like playing an Atlas dungeon crawler where I'm like, shit, I only have 3 life beads left, man. I can't get any more of those. Or, I'm so thankful there's not an MP system, like, it's just you build AP over time. Like, I do not have to worry about how many fucking snuff souls are in my pocket,
Yep.
Like, you just feel better about using items. So, like, that I think is a really good way to handle the kind of, like, item concerns you get in these kinds of RPGs. It's like, no, it's checkpoint based. So, when you see an expedition flag, you can settle there, you can rest to heal fully. You can spend your level ups. So you have stat points you get. You have 5 stats. 5 or 6? Hold on, let me do math. You've got Vitality for HP, Defense for damage resistance, Might for damage output, Speed for how fast you go, and Luck for critical hits. Yeah, 5. And just, you get to put these wherever you do. You have respec items, like you literally can start the game with 1 respec item in your pocket and can keep getting more. Different weapons you equip get different damage scaling off stats, and those are always marked so you can see where you're going. Otherwise, it's just kind of like, you can kind of feel out where you want to go. I think that certain characters will like prefer certain stats, but I've seen them kind of shift around. And I don't think you're going to die if you like, you know, put a couple points in each character in like Vitality so their HP pool gets a little bigger, you know? But if you get good at the game, you can respec and get rid of all those extra Vitality points and just be like, I will simply dodge everything. But yeah, stat scaling is true to your weapon, so it's a thing you need to, you know, you can keep on chart of, but those are always marked. And then, like I said, every character has a unique skill tree. You can spend skill points. These start at like 1 or 2 and then slowly start scaling up to like 4, 6, 10, etc. The other big thing is you don't really have like equipment slots, but you have 3 equipment slots for what are called pictos. These are your special passive-y things. They can be stuff like, you know, passive chance to mark enemies with free shot, heal AP after you kill an enemy, drain life on normal attacks, chance to inflict burn with certain attacks, etc., etc. They can be big or they can be small. The fun thing about these pictos is you have 3 you can equip at any time, and they have like their own levels and come with passive stat bonuses, you know, like you'd expect from equipment. But after 4 battles with a picto, you master that picto, and you can equip that passive skill on anybody. You have a pool of points, which you only get so many to spend on them, and they have different costs, but you can spend consumables to give characters more points. But this means that you can have anybody learn the abilities you need. So, like, I think I've got, like, everybody has at least 1 point spent on Dodger, which is once per turn get 1 AP back when you do a perfect dodge, because just AP's king. Like I said, I'm only 6 hours in, and I'm already like, AP's king, baby. But this combined with the fact that every character has unique skills, as Axe mentioned in chat, something I hadn't gotten to yet, but I have seen this mechanic. Your weapons have levels that unlock perks, which influence your builds. You have a lot of customizability in your characters, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, you can decide you want to go ham on this thing or that thing. Like, you could focus down on, like, you know, using Lune as, like, a big AoE nuker, or you could go for, like, focus damage with your elements. In general, I feel like, I mean, she has defensive stance, but I feel like Miles going to be my, like, single target focus down character. But also, like, your abilities can kind of weave together. Like, right now, I'm already starting to see at early levels a build where you do lots of, like, fire damage and apply the burning status effect. Yeah, there's status effects. Burning means enemies take damage over time. They can get, like, slowed, they can get paralyzed, they can get stunned. They haven't, like, super explained it, but there is basically, like, a stagger meter that builds up, and if you do the right moves, you will break it, and so enemies will be stunned for a little bit, usually for 1 turn. I will say, I'm, again, only, like, 5 or 6 hours in. I've already learned to hate the exhaust status. The exhaust status means you cannot gain AP for any reason. Shit sucks. Don't like it. Heal that shit as soon as possible. But yeah, there's a wide variety of status effects. You can do, like, powerful for attack up, shell for protection up. You can make enemies defenseless to reduce their guard, shit like that. Like, all your standard RPG shit. But like I said, I'm already starting to see combos where, like, Mile has an ability where enemies become elementally weak for fire for a couple of turns. And that sets up her stance where she does more fire. And, you know, she has other abilities that do, you know, if the enemy is burning, she switches to Virtuoso stance, which then lets her do her moves, which cost like 5 or 6 AP and do a shitload of damage. And I've got, like, you know, an ability like that Gustav can have, which sets up burning. And obviously Lune has fire spells to set up burning on multiple enemies. So, like, again, we're early, but I'm already like, ooh, I can see the builds. We've got fiddly bits, chat. You also have cosmetics, which you can unlock everything. So, like, you know, you can get different hairstyles and costumes. Obviously, you know, you've seen the incredibly French one of, like, the beret and the overalls and the striped shirt and stuff. I haven't really unlocked a lot of them, but they're out there. I would say visually, the game's very breathtaking. We do a lot with colors. There are times when I can definitely, like, feel like I can see that the game is, like, AA. Your characters do get kind of, like, dirt and blood textures over them if you're getting the shit kicked out of you. And, like, maybe it's because I'm in performance mode for the better frame rates, but I definitely feel like playing this on PS5, I'm like, no, I can definitely, sometimes that looks like a texture you've painted over, you know. but the animation of the mocap is very good. And yeah, I don't know how much I want to get into thematics, but I do like the writing. Lucky, how do you feel about me talking a little bit about story stuff? Like, I'm not anywhere yet, but there is the intro, and it's very important.
How long do you think you'll talk about story?
Just briefly, because I would just like kind of mention the prologue stuff.
All right, then I'll just step away for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
because I do want to go into it super fresh. Because I know nothing about the story, so.
Well, yeah, and that's why I asked, because like I didn't really know anything about the story setup either, other than just some vague vibes. But it's like it hits strong.
No, I'll come back at 10:05, and we'll see where we are there.
Yeah.
So I'll be right back. You know,
so with my 5-minute stuff, Chad. Like I said, Ennui's very big. It's very noir. Like this prologue is a heavy hitter. So like I said, if you don't want spoilers, just tune out for like 5 minutes. Yeah, the Gomage. The setup is in this world. There's a thing called the Fracture where shit got fucked. Everything exploded, and so the last city, as far as we know, is called Lumiere. It's in the sea. There's a big obelisk with a number on it jutting out of the ground, and every year at the Gomage, the paintress wakes up, paints a new number, and if your age is equal to that number, you get fucking Thanos-snapped. It sucks. Like, it's all, like, trippy and surreal and colorful. So, like, this number gets smaller every year. It's counting down. It's a reverse calendar. So, like, age stuff gets super compact. So, like, already in the opening, there's stuff talking about, like, oh, you know, you don't want to have kids because, like, you're not going to live long enough to see your kids grow up. Well, we'll see if we can. There's already some other thematic stuff I'm not going to touch on when they actually get out there. But, yeah. So, like, our main character, Gustav, his ex-girlfriend, who he's still, like, you know, attached to, Sophie, it's her year. So, like, you have this whole moment of, like, you know she's gonna fucking go. You don't know how, but you spend, like, your last moments with her at the festival. And it's, like, it's got big ups and big pain. And there's a lot, like I said, with thematic things going on, you know, there with, like, talking to characters and kids. There seems to be a system of, like, apprenticeships for when inevitably your parents get gomaged. So, you know, there's somebody to look out for you. That's what it's, you know, Miles' role. She's Gustav's apprentice. One of them, like his ward. And so, you know, the number counts down every year. It gets bad. So every year they send out an expedition of people, a numbered expedition to cross the ocean and try and beat up the paintress. They don't have a lot of great plans. It's very vague, but they've been doing it for 67 years, so it's rough. Yeah, only 0 made it back because that was the first year. But they go to the continent to kick the shit out of the paintress and fight her Nevars, who are supposed to be horrible monsters, and there's also, like, mythological creatures there. So this is expedition number 33. They have a little bit of detail in it, but nobody else made it back since then, and you can find journals with audio logs for all these people to come. So, like, there's this heavy theming. It, like, everything is steeped in the themes. You know, for those who come after, one falls, we continue. If one falls, we continue. You know, tomorrow comes. Well, and I have noticed a theme of, like, getting these guides back is, like, a lot of the expeditions seem to have, like, one weird trick, and then inevitably when their one weird trick doesn't work out, they all die. Like, I found a journal for an expedition that set out with, like, reinforced cars, and guess what? They just drove too fast and crashed. There's a big one in the story about, like, they set off on a big boat, but they got sucked up by a maelstrom and, like, hurled somewhere. So, like, there's a lot of stuff going on. Even your expedition, I won't talk about it, but, like, you set out with, like, all these guys and, like, all this vibe to get in there. Shit gets fucked up immediately. You all get scattered. You know, you got to find everybody. So, like, there's a lot of shit going on. But like I said, thematically, it hits you very hard out of the gate, and it sets the tone, and, like, immediately got me with, like, a big emotional hook, and, like, it just keeps going. And, like, the themes are, like, very, very dark, but very, very strong. So, like, it like I said, it really sucked me in with the aesthetics, and, like, now I'll just talk about the free stuff before Lucky gets back. But, like, they've started posting their soundtrack on social media. It has a very good soundtrack, has a lot of different vibes to it. All the singing is in French, so, like, there's a lot of great moments and just, like, crazy stuff going on that I really like. It's good, and just the continent is just got these weird, colorful vibes. There's one area that's, like, underwater, but there's no water. There's right now I'm in a forest that's all red. You know, there's a lot of these really interesting things where just colors and vibes are kind of mixed up, and it's really interesting to see. Enemies have a lot of really weird things going on, but also it's kind of like, yeah, I'm just wrapping up to talk about stuff. enemies have a lot of very different things going on, but it also, because there's this kind of vibe of, like, you are expeditioning, you are exploring, the characters, the expeditioners, don't have a lot of answers. And one thing I will say that is not a spoiler, but just like a vibe thing. We were talking earlier about exposition with Death Stranding 2, right?
Right.
Clair Obscur doesn't really do exposition. Like, there's a little bit of as you know, and there's some back and forth, and like there's some optional stuff you can do, but they just kind of go with the, like, we're going to say some proper nouns and we're going to show you some shit and you're just going to figure it out. And like, I'm not 100% sure about how some of this works, like the finer details, but so far it's worked. Like, the prologue was really great at setting up the vibe. So like I said, it's that, Lucky saying he wants to go in, completely fresh. I'm like, yeah, no, like that's how it should be done. Like, cause it hits better and they want it to hit that way. But yeah, no, great game. Lots of really interesting stuff going on there. Definitely check it out if you are a fan of turn-based stuff or RPGs in general. And also if you like French things. They've straight up said that their aesthetic is inspired by La Belle Époque, the Great Era, which is basically the equivalent of Victorian-era France.
Yep, I did some research into La Belle Époque when we were talking rain and stuff.
Yeah, we've mentioned before that, like, La Belle Époque is a little later for rain, but still, like, we're pulling on some interesting challenges there. But yeah, no, it's really good, and they have a lot of like great aesthetics, and the cast is all killing it and stuff. So like, we're jamming. But all right, that's Clair Obscur.
Rad.
It is rad.
So other than that, we haven't really been doing too much this week. We probably will talk a little bit of Rain, but we'll leave that at the end so May can just be like, all right, I'm fucking done when he's no longer feeling it. But us and the lads, we did pick up a new game this week. It was on sale, and Aaron was kind enough to buy copies of it. But finally, we have done it. We have done what all children yearn for. We have gone to the mines. We have become dwarfs. We have picked up Deep Rock Galactic. Digging darkness dwarfs. Rock and
Referencing
stone.
a joke from a Rubik's Raptor video where he said that he was the last person to play Deep Rock Galactic. That's not true. We're the last people to play Deep Rock Galactic. But we have done it. Rock and stone.
Gold. And overall, so I won't say I love the game, because I don't. But I do like the game. And I like it best when I'm with, the squad. When me and three other dudes are running around the dark going like, I can't see shit! That's when the game's at its peak for me. I am going to pull an exposition and say, as you all may well know, Deep Rock Galactic is a game where you get three of your friends, you go under Earth, you fight bugs, and you mine stone. And unfortunately/fortunately, that's it. That's the game. The game has, like, various mechanics. Basically, you pick one of 4 different dwarf types. You have the scout, the gunner, the driller, and the engineer, and they get basically specialty loadouts that you can use. As the game progresses, you can find more weapons and gadgets / grenades. But you're basically, they're basically each locked to a specific class. So it's kind of play what you like. Right now, Lucky has been rocking the engineer as I love turrets, and the platform gun is really fucking useful, y'all. Honestly, all the gadgets are useful. The driller's drill hands, really quick for getting through everything. The scout's grappling hook. It's a little selfish. You can only, zip around yourself, but boy howdy can you zip around. Also, the flare gun is nice. I do like that. Makes things really bright, thank God. The gunner's zipline is cool, too. And the platform gun...
It's slower and more finicky than the grappling hook, but the zipline is, as you say, you mentioned the scout's selfish. The zipline is not selfish.
It is not. Anyone can get on the zipline. And the engineer's platform gun is... Honestly, I probably think it's the best overall between them all, because you can do a lot with it. I mean, like, a lot. You can use it to, seal holes, make platforms, make safe jumping spots, make bridges. Hell, you can get an upgrade that makes bugs not want to walk on it. No, so it's highly flexible, but also sometimes the most fucking finicky. Especially on walls that have the, I can't think of it, when they dome, so they're, things go like that. That gets a little weird for dealing with it. But it has a lot of stuff, and DRG has a lot of heart in it, which, I can't deny. You can do a lot of funny voice lines, and, unique personalities for the dwarves. Like I said, it's a good fun co-op game. I have tried a little bit solo, and I can kind of understand what people mean it's slow. You're just kind of doing the same thing, but by yourself, which is inherently less exciting, because you're not yelling about I'm being Do you know how many times we in a voice call just started screaming because something grabbed us and ran off with us?
Yep. We're in dark caves. There's horrible things. I have done
Like,
a little solo. Bosco's fun, but yeah,
I like
it's
Bosco.
just slow and drawn out because it's like you don't have 4 people working on the task. You just have you and the drone.
I like Bosco. I wish I could bring Bosco on me if we didn't have 4 people, because Bosco is fucking useful, especially when there's fucking, ore, on the ceiling, and I'm all like, I do not want to build a fucking platform up there.
Yeah, it'd be nice if Bosco worked like how support hunters and Monster Hunter work, where like if you had full 4 people, he goes away, or even like Palicos in Monster Hunter, like he's there with you until you have all 4 squaddies.
That's what I would like. But other than that, like, honestly, there's not much more to really talk about that game, honestly. It's fun. The guns are okay. I haven't unlocked any of the fancier guns that I can get. Like, I'm still on the base gun. I like my auto shotty, and I like my fucking, pistol grenade launcher as an engineer. And I know there's more things out the way, but like, you don't have ADS with you do have like very limited ammo, which I think is good. Because, like I said, it's all about, keeping up your supply and finding stuff down there. But the guns aren't anything special. The environments are varied and they're interesting, but once you've seen them a few times, they quickly go stale on you.
Yeah, it's
Mission
more,
types.
Since we did the basic assignment, right? The starter kit it does basically to open up the game. It's more a factor of like, well, where are we going this time? Kind of a thing.
Like, there are certain biomes I like more than other ones, and, each one has its own particular dangers and foibles. But once you've been there, like, it quickly goes over, because you are more concerned about looking at your 3D model, trying to figure out where the objective is, than, staying to watch the scenery. And honestly, one of the things I like doing most is I like playing a hidden dwarf with the guys.
Yeah,
they have that
prop
mode.
hunts just inside it.
Yeah, no, which is nice. But it's one of those games I can put on my list of, like, I like it enough that I'll play it with the boys if someone were to suggest it. But I'm also I would probably hey, if you want to play Supermarket together or Dwarves, I'd probably go Supermarket together. I probably so I don't know what I think no one's actually feeling that great, so probably won't do anything tonight. But who knows what the morrow will bring?
We'll do something tomorrow.
But
yeah, I agree mostly with like you said. I like the game, but I agree that I don't love it. It's a class-based 4-man, squad game.
I almost want to say extraction shooter, but it's not quite right.
I mean, it's pretty close, but it's a little different because it's not like a Tarkov, because there are no player elements of it, and even sometimes there's like objectives for bosses, but usually it's just like it's still more on the horde side, like Left 4 Dead or Payday.
Yeah, I don't know. I still call Payday an extraction shooter.
I think Deep Rock Galactic, forgot the name for a second. What did just shout Rock and Stone? Deep Rock Galactic is definitely like Payday-esque, but I feel like they put more of their tech tree into the interesting kind of like area design, because I think everything is voxelized, because you can dig almost anything.
Oh yeah, no, you can just dig
you actually
stuff.
mine games. Like that's great. So like the character perks aren't quite as crazy as Payday 2 got. But they still got quite a wide variety in Deep Rock Galactic. And, like, definitely the gun stuff is not as progressible. But it's got a pretty tight gameplay loop that's pretty fun to do with 3 to 4 people. And if you don't got 3 to 4 people, it is doable solo.
So yeah, that's Dwarfs. Talk a little bit about Rain. We played Rain last week. We had a time. I'm gonna get something off my chest that I've been holding on to, but actually, funnily enough, I did not actually have that great a time playing Rain last week for a few reasons. One is I kind of misread how a situation would go, and I got a reaction out of you and Mega that kind of put me off my groove. It was back in the beginning when I made blink Leslock sign some papers. You had like a real concern that I was gonna do something untoward and derail things, and you're like, he has Sense 5, right? And that completely threw me off my fucking game. Like for the rest of the of the game.
There's some other stuff that came after, so like, but yeah,
there was some other
didn't
stuff,
mean
but
to
that
throw
was
you
the
off your game. It was
start
just one of
of
those
it.
weird moments of just like we're joking around, but I'm trying to think how to say this. You do like to. I don't want to say you commit to the bit always, because I feel like you're not the most committed to the bit, but like you'll stick with a bit for a little bit. So I like, for the other players, I felt like I wanted to be like, okay, hold on, nothing like crazy is happening here, right? Like, because like we haven't pre-planned something crazy here. Like,
Yeah.
there would
like
be...
honestly.
Go ahead, finish.
No. Finish your thought because I'm gonna go into why like this kind of like has been on my mind and stuff.
Yeah, so like it was just one of those moments of like I also felt a little like suddenly, I guess, bamboozled. Like it was a joke, but also I was like, we aren't trying to do something here, right? Because like I didn't plan something here. Like one of those moments where like even the GM is in the dark, and you after we had that moment, you were like, well, you would know if I was planning something. I'd be like, right, I think I would.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the things I try to be most open about. If I am planning something, someone knows. Someone knows, so they are aware of something happening. Because like I don't necessarily like I want us all to be in the story, and I do not want to necessarily derail people and just have us going off into unknown territory. That's bad. So at the very least, if I'm doing something, Omega will know of it. I will talk about it in the chats or something like that, or something. So having Omega like be a little, no, I don't want to say hostile. Like earlier in the week, I would have said hostile, but I actually like this was actually really bugging me. This part right here, I actually had to go back to the video and re-listen to how you said it, how he said it, and that whole scene. And realized that actually, I was making it sound like a lot worse to me than it actually was. Because, like, when I was laying in bed that night thinking about it, like, in my mind, you sounded way more hostile than you actually did. And it wasn't until I went back
to the audio, but I would say I probably sounded defensive, if not just surprised. Because I was definitely like, huh? What? Huh?
No, like, you were definitely defensive and surprised, but not, like, as hostile as I initially thought. So that was, like, calm me up. But in the moment, I was like, what's happening? Because, like I said, I originally just had made to make it a quick joke just to, get a rise out of maybe Lesluck or something, but it just moved move on. But then that scene moved into another scene in which I feel like you were kind of trying to trap me with Lady Maja.
I definitely wasn't trying to trap, but I talked before that I think Lady Maja wants to have a couple conversations with you. And I was like, oh, this could be the segue. But also, because we just had the conversation about the papers that did get a little awkward.
Yeah.
I definitely picked up on that. I was definitely trying to be like, maybe a little more nosy than usual, where I was trying to I felt like getting out ahead of future confusion and trying to drill in. And you were like, you didn't mean it to be that important in the moment. And when you kind of you did get a little I'm taking my ball and going home about it, but you were just like, it wasn't that big of a deal. Fuck it. And I'm like, okay.
Well, honestly, it was just one of those things that if we I didn't want to necessarily dig in my heels about said things. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know how to. It was me being I'm taking my ball and going home. But at the same time, I felt like I don't know how to explain it. I just, for lack of a better word, I wasn't having it. I can't explain it any other better way than that. This was me digging in my heel.
Thinking about it, I can see you were clearly flummoxed and were like, the rhythm of the scene is not going the way I want to go, so I'm just gonna cut it off.
Yeah, that's the only way I can. That's the only way I can explain it. Because I'm not opposed to having the conversation with Lady Maja, but the way that the conversation was started is that Lady Maja might be thinking that I'm trying to intrude upon her duties, which is not what I'm trying to do, because I had a misunderstanding about what my duties were. This is the reason why I had you. I asked you for the Master of Ceremony duties again, so I could actually look at it and be like, "Oh,
what is that?"
It does.
And
because
I put more thought into it, for sure, Lady Maja will probably. Yeah, we should be back to Stonehearth after stuff. Because there's a lot of stuff going on in the back half. The front half was mostly just character business and interactions. Mm-hmm. So I definitely have thought more about what it is, and I feel like what I plan to have Lady Maja talk about, I can re-subsume what happened into the conversation,
Yeah. But after that, those couple of moments, I tried to have a good character moment with lost character Logesh, and that kind of got hostile.
That
on both ends.
I mean, I feel like that was intentional. You guys had out of character conversations about it, and Loth talking about the scene is he's he's like, hold on, I've got to buckle on my shoes for this kind of scene. I've got to I'm having a hard time keeping the character vibe, but I'm like, it's good. It's just he had a...
No, but, like, even so, I felt bad about that. Cause, for better or worse, Loth is there because he wants to play a game with us. Like, excuse me. That snuck up on me. I have no qualms saying that Loth is not necessarily invested in Rain like the way that I am invested in Rain. I eat, sleep, and drink Rain. I go to bed thinking about Rain. I wake up in the middle of the night being all like, oh shit, I have a great idea. Just yesterday, you mentioned something that Lady Maja wanted to talk to me about, and I started pacing around my house thinking about how this conversation might go. I am very invested in Rain in the roleplay mechanic. Loth likes playing Rain, but I think he likes playing Rain because he gets to do stuff with us, not necessarily because he is invested in the world and the character as it is. And this means that he is generally not so inclined to do a lot of heavy thinking about Rain, about maybe his character stuff, world stuff. He kind of just takes things as they come.
He will bite deeper if, like, challenged or pulled into something. Yeah. But to think of it this way, Lucky and most of the other players, to be honest, like, Dallas is very busy, so his amount of being involved, like, seems to go up and down. But, like, he is one of the guys who, like, hits me up in DMs about stuff. And, like, you know, like, thinks about character stuff. It's just that he has a busy schedule during the week, so he doesn't always come back to us with that until the session. But, like, he spends time outside of Rain thinking about Rain sometimes. And you, Aaron, and even Axe will spend quite a lot of time. Axe doesn't have great, like, internet connection at work, so his ability to, like, jump in the conversation in the middle day is reduced. But he still spends some time thinking about Rain in his downtime, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, those guys, I would say, are more like actors. You guys are part of the scene. You're involved in your characters. You are, like, in the vibe. Loth often feels much more like a reader. Like, he is a participant in the media, but he is much more able to lean back and be like, oh, my friends are doing some cool improv now, you know, I'll get a little involved in that scene, or be like, ooh, Omega's doing something interesting with the writing, with these character acting, you know, like, so he's, like, involved, but like you said, he is not, like, working back and forth with the world building.
And as a player, mostly I'm okay with that. Mostly.
And like I said, we've had the ability to pull Loth very directly into stuff. Like, there have been a couple of issues where, not even pulled, he has just, like, jumped into, like, no, actually, I'm making this a character thing.
Yeah.
Like, he got real invested in economic stuff, and, like, he got very in and out of character concerned about, like, food stuff, which we were able to, you know, mollify a little there, but, like,
yeah.
So he still has, you know, wants and desires on his own, but, yeah.
But, so, I took a moment that we've had from comparators and decided to, you know, push some of Lokesh's buttons, and it did not go the way that I intended, and it freaked me out a little at the time. My character now has basically bought a holy sword, and it has probably pissed off, you know, probably one of the greatest tactical minds of our generation. So, you know, that whole conversation, well, you know, I don't, like, you know, I'm not going to take it back at all, but it's just left me at that moment of, oh.
I want to say, the scene was great. Like, I think you both had some really good lines back and forth there. Like, that was a very interesting thing to go on. I do want to say, though, that, like, I feel out of character a little chuckle-worthy about that fact, because, like, it's one of those moments of, like, you're the dog with the mailman type thing, right? Because before this scene, you were like, oh, I'm gonna get that Logesh, like, I'm gonna get Loth to react. I'll, you know, tell him to sell the sword and be like, hell, I'll buy the sword. Well, you did that trick. Guess what? And you bought the sword. So now you're like, shit.
No, it's true. It's just like, I wasn't expecting, like I said, I wasn't expecting it to go this way. So now I have a magic sword. And of course, like I said, I'm not, like, I have made this choice. I'm not, like, let's see, how do I put this? I don't regret the actions I took, because, like I said, it was a great scene, but it put me in a moment of, like, okay, I didn't expect this to go this way. I have to, like, you know, rethink these things.
Yeah. So, like, I will say you did a great job of, like, I guess when I say masculine, like, I don't think I got the read that you weren't necessarily having the greatest time. Obviously, like I said, I picked up in the moment some of the stuff about the first couple scenes where it was my end, but we didn't really get a chance to like talk about it because that would involve stopping the session entirely, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, no, like, I think probably the biggest indicator that I was probably losing my mind is when I started joking about seducing the fucking ghost. Like, that was just me and my brain on autopilot. I was having trouble thinking in that moment. It was just, like, I think I got a little rambly, in the back half.
Yeah, that happens. I think the main thing was just the fact that, like, sometimes we all get like that, because the session did get a little long. But, like, definitely, like, I could tell in the front half that you were a little off your vibe. Like, you saying, oh, I was not having the greatest time is like, I'm like, no, that tracks. Like, I understood that definitely you were off on the wrong foot in a couple of those scenes.
No, so, but so was that. And then we go to, like, we had one more thing, and this was like, I don't know if this is like a Miscellaneous thing, but this is why I wanted to bring it up. There was a particular line that you said that just kind of, smacked my gob a little there. I'll skip it, but basically, at one point, you use the character to go, hey, guys, ghosts don't eat. And this is the problem that I had with this. You said this was an obvious clue. And the scene previously, when you explained that about the honey port and stuff was left out, you immediately followed that up by, yeah, but there's a bunch of animals out here, and immediately pointed to the fat cat we have in the room. Which to me said, yeah, they put out food, but you have given us a reasonable and logical explanation to why said food would disappear. And then later saying, yeah, no, well, you didn't exactly say it like this way, but I'm saying this for hyperbole and jokes. And it's like, hey, dumbass, the fucking eating food was a clue. And I'm just all like, really? Because, like, this is the thing, like, I don't know necessarily how murder mysteries and stuff, like, works, but if you present something as a clue, and then immediately after said things, give a logical and reasonable section why that thing may not be important, isn't it a little weird for them to later go, hey, that was actually maybe a little important?
Yeah, I will say, talking about, like, animals eating the food, that's technically off script. The line about, like, because, like I said, in my notes, I have the kind of, like, because you guys did get to the bottom of some mystery stuff, like, there were some red herrings, there were some loose threads, there was some stuff that, like, could be interpreted multiple ways, and so, like, the line, I quoted it because, like I said, I think it's punchy in my actual notes, and it's written that way. Obviously, ghosts don't eat,
Yeah.
And the idea about, like, some of the stuff going missing is, like, yeah, that's supposed to be part of a lead-up or an opportunity where you guys can go, well, I don't know if that's ghost-related. And there was some religion rolling. I do think, speaking about getting rambly, I think we got a little too in the weeds because people asked broad questions about ghosts. Several people did. And I was like, shit, I gotta make up ghost lore.
Like, I'm sorry, I definitely got rambly in the back half, especially once we got Asophor involved. Like, I was thinking back about it, I was like, God, I got fucking stupid then. I think I had a direction, but I couldn't figure it out perfectly.
We got all a little loosey-goosey, like I said. You were on your back foot, and it was getting later, too, because it was one of those weird moments where, like, it's funny because I can be like, I can compare this to something else where you weren't there for, but it's very similar. We streamed Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff last week on Tuesday. We did a cube draft, which is where I assembled the draft pool and we draft cards. The draft website got really fucked up at one point. Like 4 out of the 5 of us are pulling from the same pack. That's not how the draft should work. Yeah, Axe did the final draft and just looked at his pile of cards and was like, nah, that's fucked. I'm not doing it. Like, he just skipped the part where we play Yu-Gi-Oh! Games because he's like, I'm too tired for this. This shit was too fucked up. And like, for the last like half hour of that stream, most of us are dead silent because we did that thing where we played one game too many. We said, this is the last game, and then we went, oh, I'm not that tired. We could do one more. We shouldn't have done one more. We got real low energy and just out of it after that. And like, Reign's not exactly the same, but it's kind of the same vibe where like 2 hours in of role playing, where, as we've just mentioned, there's been some like a little bit of confusion and collusion between Lucky and the GM. You've had a very tense, dramatic scene with one of the other characters, which was physically draining for both the players doing it.
Yep.
And then had a few other setup things, and like, got through all that moment. But we were like, but we really want to do this ghost hunting plot. We keep forgetting to set it up. We need to get to the ghost hunting plot.
Sorry, several times throughout the week we mentioned it, and I just be like, I forgot about that!
Yeah, no, so like, we're like, no, I want to try and get it. We're like, we're only 2 hours in, so like, probably could have rolled it back or cut it off before you guys did unpack all the exposition, but the session was getting a little long, so like I think some of the players were getting a little out of it. Yeah, like I said, my intent, and when the audio goes up, people can listen to it. The idea with the food thing was like, I didn't want it to be like, in my notes, I phrased it as obviously, because like that almost, I didn't write that for Aesopher to say that out loud, but reading it back, it was like, well, it's perfect for her to say it out loud, you know?
Yeah.
Right. It sounds like the kind of thing that she would phrase it as, well, obviously ghosts don't eat, you know? But it was not yet the time to like, it was a clue, right? But I didn't want it to immediately turn into like, so it's not a ghost then, you know? Like, I didn't want it to lean too far either way. So when I recounted that fact to you, because, and technically some of this I think was because the session was getting on longer, my kind of like notes about like ghost facts, I did a lot of that presented as like Lady Cressida was telling you what she'd been finding out since she'd been here for a couple months, you know?
Yeah.
Some of that was also written that like you guys could have been asking the questions, but also I do kind of feel like that wasn't the vibe, right? Like I think Leslak would mostly be the one asking the questions. Nobody else was really in the mood for that part. I think Dallas didn't even want to come on the ghost hunt part until he was like, well, we're all going. And he's like, all right, I'll go just in case. So, like, it turned a little more exposition-y. So, like I said, I wanted to couch that and went a little off script. My idea was to, like, and I did say this, but obviously, you know, you guys as players for sure, and definitely often as characters, don't always know when to check if NPCs are fallible or not. Like, sometimes you're like, okay, hold on, I want to read that guy. But a lot of times I think, you know, because I get my expository mode, we just kind of take what characters say. So, like, well, I didn't want to have her presented as an absolute truth.
Yeah, but the question, like, well, I can get that. Like, you know, I learned this lesson playing Lost Belt 7. You know, people can say what they think is the truth, but it won't necessarily be correct. But there's not necessarily a way for us as characters and as players to be able to fact check an NPC without actually having the truth presented to them first. And if we start doubting everything they say, that means we're gonna have to start taking more steps to fact check everything they say in some sort of roundabout manner when we don't necessarily know the whole truth. Like,
yeah, so, and I get that. So, like, when I was speaking as Cressida, I was like, hold on. That was me going off script, was the part where I'm like, hold on, I want to couch these facts so that there's, like, doubt in there that they can question.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I did go off script a little, so I should probably ask the other players how you think about it. Like, obviously, you kind of, like, were like, I felt like you already said that wasn't a clue, and now you're saying it was a clue, you know, and I'm like, when you say it like that now, I'm like, no, you're right. That, like, I immediately, like, how did that happen? I'm like, oh, the thing about maybe why all the animals eat the porridge was, like, that was absolutely an ad-lib. That was, like, Lady Cressida, I wanted to, like I said, have her pitch that as, like, her logical explanation was, well, animals could eat it. You know, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, because, like, as a joke, I talked about, you know, the fat cats, and, like, they're probably not catching mice, so, like, something could be eating the porridge.
Yeah. So, but, like,
the beer being drunk is still kind of, like, open-ended, but yeah, the porridge thing got a little off script.
But yeah, no, it was just that moment in there, I was just all like, oh, here's the gif.
Yeah.
Just confused, and we end the session, I'm just laying there, thinking about all that stuff. Like, I lost sleep for 2 days, and I'm like, no, I have to go re-listen to the episode, I gotta get straight into some of this shit out.
And this is the beauty of recording it, is we can't check the tape.
Yeah, no, like, trust me, I'm neurodivergent too. I'm pretty good at fucking masking myself, buddy. Like, shit bothers me. I just hold it in until I can figure it out, because if it had turned out that I wasn't being stupid and you did sound as hostile on me, I was going to confront you in the tabletop cabal about it and bring it up. But I just realized, you know, going back to it, was like, nope, this is me, you know, blowing things out of proportion. Simmer it down. You're okay.
It's yeah. What definitely happened was the case of, like, it's one of those moments where, like, there is a little bit of an imbalanced dynamic between players and GM, right? And it's like, if the GM hits the players with a surprise, that's like, oh, we're all here for that. That's what we wanted to be here. When the players surprise the GM, that's like, the GM is like, huh? Sorry, what? Huh? You know, threw me off my game. But I have a giant fucking text document for this campaign, chat. So, like, it's a lot easier for me to ratchet back in where I'm going and, like, get my footing back than I think it was for you that night as the player, and often for the other players. Like, definitely I feel like every single one of the players has had that night where they're like, hold on, nothing's going to plan. I'm completely off my gourd. Like, I'm pretty sure that's happened to everybody at least once during the campaign.
So, yeah, I know. So I had to spend a couple days, just sitting down, thinking about it way too much, and then, finally putting a plan into action to deal with it. And it turned out better than expected. So, once again, I am excited to, get back to Rain. Wrap up this ghost business, have a big talk with Lady Maja. I'm gonna see if I can get away with calling her Auntie Maja. And maybe get off to the Silver Tower. So,
at the very least, we're gonna wrap our current ghost, not ghost. You have to listen to find out the whole thing, because I do think that genuinely, like, you. I should ask you whether this is how you feel now in retrospect. In the episode, like, when you guys click the pieces and you're like, shit, I was gonna say something about, like, I was gonna voice that theory earlier, but I've been kind of out of it, so I just didn't click it.
No, like, in the beginning, I think I definitely said at some point, I said what I thought the thing was, but I didn't really hammer on it because I was kind of all of it. But no, like all the other pieces were fine. Like all the other pieces, like described and whatnot, were fine. It was just that one specific instance that stuck in my craw. Like,
and honestly, I may have been too, I guess, cavalier, too snarky in my notes. I do editorialize myself sometimes, despite the fact that I'm only writing to me. No,
we've seen some of those editorialized notes. You post them to us sometimes. They're funny.
Yeah, and I try not to editorialize too much, but like I said, sometimes it is just funny. Like, one thing that did happen earlier is, like, I gave you guys kind of my rough draft of the guest list. I will crystallize that as a singular list later, like the people coming to Summer Court. And literally there's a conversation about House Marin, and I put in my notes of, like, I decided to make the decision that the twins aren't coming. And I'm like, I'm doing this because it makes sense, but also Nicola stuff. Yep. And I was like, hopefully Nicola will be less distracted by his romance thing, but also he gets to be melodramatic about his romance thing. And then I literally, like, put that one in my notes.
No, so, no, like, I like it, and like I said, like, I think my mind was just a little frazzled about that, because, like, when people do listen to the episode, I do a little bit of rambling, later for no particular reason, except that I just didn't want to sound like a fucking idiot. So in order to not sound stupid, I just kept talking, which kind of made me sound stupid. Good job, Lucky.
The classic.
Yeah. And no, it is true. I try not to be mean. I try not to be more mean to Axe than is absolute necessary, which is weird to say, but it's something I have to check myself on.
Honestly, spoilers for real life. Most people actually have to, like, whatchamacallit, like, rein in a lot of stuff. Not quite to the same degree as Lucky, because I don't have I'm pretty sure I'm not anyway on the attention deficits, region. But I assume some of that, based on, what's described, is just sometimes your neurons just go, and it's then like you gotta catch up. So, like, I assume for you the self-control is, like, a lot more proactive. But even me, I'm like, just being myself, vibing, I have to be like, nope, wait, don't say that way. If you type that, that's going to be more mean.
No, I see that. Omega is typing. Omega has stopped typing. Omega is typing. I see that.
During a completely different conversation that was more interpersonal, we don't need to get to on the podcast, but there was at one point where I was like, I just said out loud, I'm like, normally I like to be mollifying. I like to, like, ratchet down conflict and, like, be understanding to people is the short version of that. But I'm like, I also don't want to be condescending in this moment. Like, I don't want to speak for either people involved in this, so I'm just going to be like, normally, I'm here for this, but also, I don't want to put either of you out. And, like, that was kind of my way of saying, like, I could have more I could say here, but also, I don't want to get into it.
No, Axe, I will say, you are right. I do have to self-check my rage and malice sometimes. It is, like, I know it, like, I say this to be soothing, it is not just you, that I have issues with. Axe, I block a lot of people on our Discord just because I do not want to see their words. That's why I just don't have to deal. Robin is a gremlin, so I know I can just give him shit, and Robin would just be like, yeah. It's like the same kind of thing with Loth. I can give Loth shit, and he'll just be like, yeah, I do have to be a little bit more careful with you. Like, with you,
sometimes you also say with Loth, you do still check yourself. You're like, no, I don't want to say that to Loth. That would be mean for no reason.
Yeah. With you, Axe, it's generally like, when I get mad at you, it's because you have done something
to upset me, and you do not fully understand why you have upset me. And usually in the process of trying to explain it, you don't get it, and that makes me more upset, and then we get into these big, long tangents. And no, I'm not going to tell you to leave Axe, because the problem is not with you, the problem is with me.
Well, and the Axe problem is, and we're not going to unpack this right now, but, we've done a lot of roleplay, and we've done a lot of basically improv theater to character. Oh, God, what is I don't remember the right word for it, but Axe is, self-effacing and accentuates the negative about himself. So, Axe will always, take things that are about him to the extreme and, get real deep in the negativity zone, and it's no, it's not that bad. You don't need, it's a little bad, but you don't need to, amplify it so much upon yourself.
I'll say this, Axe, you don't have the problem with me. I have the problem with you. Therefore, it is not your fault, and you should not be punished for that. Because I've talked about this, your way of thinking may be different and may not necessarily mesh with mine, but that is through no fault of your own. You are how you are, and I am how I am. We will probably never see perfectly eye to eye, but I am perfectly okay with that. And if I need to leave the room so that you can play games with your friends, that is perfectly acceptable to me. That does not bug me. I think it's a thing.
Parasocial.
Well, it's just one of those things. Again, I don't want to necessarily get on air about it, but I like playing games with you, X, but I can only stand so much of you at one time.
I think it's one of those things of just it's important to reign because it's tabletop RPG. We do it collaboratively together. Sometimes we're not collaborating. Again, I feel like every player has had that moment, that session where they're just my plans are completely fucked. I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Help!
I'm drowning. Blub.
Blub.
And definitely had those had those kind of lack of collaboration, those moments where we've kind of rubbed against each other and gotta work out with stuff. So it's it happens, and that's part of the vibe. And most of us have been doing this for years to kind of get a read on everybody and read it out. Usually I think I'm pretty good at catching what Axe means. There are still sometimes when Axe will say something to me and I'm just hold on, I didn't catch that at all. Which I think that ruins my rhythm because I don't like to toot my own too much anymore in my old age. I have previously people have told me I'm smart, I'm quick-witted, I'm a fast learner kind of a thing. People say these things about me, so I have internalized some of it. So actually, how old's Gustav? 32? I think I am actually older than Gustav by 1 year. He's actually 33, so we're the same age. Literally Gustav's age. But it's one of those moments where so when somebody says something to me that I'm just that is for some reason completely opaque to me, that's when I'm what? Huh? I'm not used to that feeling of you said words just now and I didn't catch what you meant. So that throws me off, and sometimes I have to be Axe, I understand the English of what you just said. I did not pick up what you meant by that at all. Hold on. Let me try and figure that out. And sometimes my snarkiness does come out of that, where I'm just you've completely bamboozled me. But I also have had that experience of being no, I don't want to be mean to Axe. And I've had to, because joking with Axe and ribbing with people has come out, where the audience has got on the bandwagon, and I've had to be hey, people at home, those aren't your jokes. We have a little bit of ribbing with Axe because I've spent quite a lot of time with Axe, and it's the point is not to make him the butt of the joke. It's part of our relationship of interpersonal conflicts. And y'all definitely need to ratchet it in. Sometimes I need to ratchet it in. So you guys, you're the audience, you need to ratchet it in.
Axe is saying things again, and so I wanted to clarify something. Axe, generally when I don't want to play with you, generally I've made myself scarce to people in general. The thing with the thing that we had was because remember I talked about this, and probably a little shame on me because maybe I left a little bit too quickly, but you said you were going to go do something else and then joined us in what we were doing, so that caught me off guard, and I'm just all well, if Axe wants to play, far be it from me to kick him out. So the better thing is for me to leave without causing a fucking fuss, because otherwise we're going to get into a big row with
big row about such things.
But they were, when you exited the game, I got host kicked, so it was a little bit of a fuss.
It was a little bit of a fuss. I genuinely did not know it would kick you out like that. So that's, that one, mea culpa. But, well, Axe, unfortunately, like, there's no big explanation. You're the cause. It's you. It's just all you. I can only, like, trust me, like, believe it or not, Axe, it's not just you. Like, I can only handle so many people, like, in a day.
Yeah, I didn't I acknowledged Wednesday that you were in the VC and you had it turned on at one point, and then there was like something happened and like you stayed muted the rest of the 14 stream, and I'm like,
yeah, no, I just didn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah, and I picked up on that vibe, and I was just like, so we didn't have a specific reason that came up why Lucky's muted, but he's been muted, and I'm not gonna ask. No,
it's like I was just having a bad day, and then I hung out with you guys for 3 hours, and I was like, all right. Can I handle hanging out with maybe like Omega, Loth, and Aaron for a little bit? Yeah, sure. I'll do a few missions and I'll call it a night. Like, trust me, Axe, even if you hadn't shown up, I probably would have only been playing for like another hour. Maybe. And then like, all right, guys, I'm done. I'm going home. So if you show up and I just suddenly leave and Omega and whoever else in the channel be like, oh, like Lucky just got pissed off about something enough. You can probably assume that it was probably you showing up, and Lucky just doesn't want to fucking deal with you right now. Like I've talked about this. Come back tomorrow, and I'm gonna treat you like just normal, and we can do stuff and play games. But Lucky can only handle people for so long, and my tolerance for people is it varies from person to people. Like I could probably hang out with Omega all day, every day. Probably wouldn't bone me too much. Like Loth, Aaron. I could probably only handle like 6 to 8 hours and then be like, all right, I gotta fucking go. You Axe is probably like 3 to 4 hours. Like if I was to play with Robin would also probably be 3 to 4 hours before I start throttling him. Yes, Omega is special. He's the person I have known for like, God, Omega, how long have we known each other?
Oh my God, a long time. What year is it? 2025? At least 15 years? It's gotta be more than that. Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah, so yeah, Omega is special.
Well, and also, our secret is, talk about, like, you're basically describing the social battery theory. I am also an introvert guy with, like, social battery, and, like, I kind of, like, lurk in Discord all the time, but I have a general distance, and, like, this is a conversation I was thinking about with something else, but, like, completely unrelated story, but there was a concern briefly where Axe got a Discord hack and tried to do the Discord hack vector thing and, like, spread it to other people. I even, like, responded to some of these false DMs and, like, looked at the link that was sent, and I was like, this leads to a download to a Discord attachment. I need to add some extra factor authentication in there. I joked about it in our Discord that I'd be really bad to hack because I have, like, 10 Discord friends. The person who, like, I mentioned this before, Dallas occasionally does shoot me DMs and stuff, but honestly, I think the person in DMs who speaks to me most frequently is Axe. I am not a person who DMs other people and is not DM'd often. And honestly, that's why I'm a little better about it. But like I've said before, I get anxiety from DMs sometimes because usually direct message in Discord is like business shit, like server stuff or something like Patreon related or some other shit. Like I said, it's getting a little more common that Axe occasionally just shoots me a note in a private thing. And it's like don't worry about it too much. Like I said, I think it's like it tickles my anxiety less, but it still tickles my anxiety a little because like that's just my style. I don't like DM back and forth with people very much. Like if I'm gonna have lengthy conversations, it'll be like we can just yap in the Discord thread or in voice. God, we yap a lot in voice.
Yeah, like guys, you don't understand. The Studio Mega Discord is the only Discord that I'm actually active in. I have other Discords I'm a part of, but that's usually just so I can check news and maybe like codes for gacha games and whatnot, or get updates. I basically talk to nobody. Or as Robin says, or get emotes. Emotes are important. So like my tolerance for like dealing with people is like super low. And yeah, I can tolerate some people, others never. And if we're doing something that I'm like really hype about, because Axe was talking about how we can do things for 6 hours. Yeah, that's usually like Rain. I told you, like table, like I don't know if it's like necessarily my ADHD focus, but Rain and other tabletop games is something that I super hyper focus on. No, Axe, haven't you heard me bitching about people constantly? Yes, I get super pissed at randos. I'm constantly super pissed at randos. God, I'm super pissed at people in our own Discord.
There's a few people in the Discord who are annoying.
But like
And
again,
that's me saying that, so you know that I mean it.
So it's like one of those it's one of those things, but like I try to explain, like, but like that's like not necessarily like, even though I call myself a tyrant and stuff, and sometimes I throw people in timeout for the funny. Those people are still here to talk and hang out with other people that like-minded, and if they have opinions or say things that piss me off on the random, like that's sometimes a me problem. So the best I can do is maybe block them, or if they say something truly heinous, step in and be all like, you say something stupid like that fucking again, I'm gonna end you, and then leave. So I try not to harsh people's buzz too badly because, it's a me problem, not a them problem. And Axe, you're just another part of that. So no, it's not a personal attack against you. I do not have a hate vendetta against you. It's just I am an old and angry, hateful, rage-filled person that thrives on spite. But I don't want to take that out on the friends and companions around me because that's unfair to them.
Sometimes people do have a them problem. But like I said, I try to not let the server run wild and do all the things that get your server banned or thrown on a drama post. But also I'm not out here to police shit. But the definitely there are moments where I'm like, no, I'm not. This may be my Discord, and there are limits that I have where I would be policing. But I'm not gonna police your every motion. But also know that my gun's always loaded. I'll clock you.
I think we have talked about that, is that Lucky probably is a berserker. Yeah. But, yeah, no. So, guess what? Everyone is a fucking box of emotions. And how we let it out is all different. Like I said, I understand.
Chocolates.
I've talked about this. I've done a lot of, thinking about myself, self-actualizing and, coming to grips with the kind of person that I am. And accepting myself for, my flaws, accepting for my flaws and the things I'm good at. I don't actually think that I'm a fucking idiot, but I realize that I should never be too complacent about, what I do and don't know. I tell people, it's not wrong to be ignorant, but it is wrong to remain ignorant. So I usually tell myself, yeah, I'm a fucking idiot, just to remind myself there's always something that I can be learning or doing better. And so, if we're being actual, I consider myself a fairly clever and charismatic individual. I'm not necessarily book smart, but I am very good at scheming. I guess the best word to say it. I'm a very good schemer. I feel like I wish sometimes you can see, I'll be in the Secret Tabletop Battle and I'll be asking, hey, Omega, how do we do, I'll ask him, hey, refugees, tax information, immigration, censuses. I'm like, I see. And Omega will be giving me information. I'll be like, yes, plans, thoughts, thinking. So no, I think
and I will say, speaking about Ty talked about not wanting to my own horn there's definitely these moments in these conversations where if I don't have facts in front of me, I go, hold on, I'll need to do some reading. I'll get back to you.
Yeah,
because you gotta expand your knowledge base.
Well, that Axe, the first step of being that is don't want to be intelligent. Once you think you're intelligent, you think you know too much as it is, you will not start thinking. Think you're an idiot and realize that you have to look into everything you want to know constantly. Think about these things. This is why I'm in the Discord. Hey, Omega, do we have this? Do we have that? What's our policy on this? Can we do this? Hang on, I just did 500 hours research. Check out this weird shit. Check this weird shit I found. I'm gonna make a plan around this. What do you guys think about this plan? I'm gonna list out all these points. Please tell me if you have any weird problems with them. I constantly am looking for information and feedback on these things. Constantly.
And I'll say this, Axe, it's, you are one of the people I know who's the quickest with math.
Yeah, no, your ability to do simple math freaks me out sometimes.
I'm not a doofus at math, and, sometimes I, astonish myself with just, oh, my brain actually, my basic multiplication skills from grade 1 or whatever kicked in all of a sudden. I'm like, oh, shit. But, definitely, you do some of that stuff that's just off the cuff, and it's sometimes it's
when
so
we're playing Supermarket, when we're playing, I'll tell you this, when we're playing Supermarket, I never have any concerns about you doing the math for the prices.
Yeah,
as long as you remember
you're got it.
Yeah, that's
I also think some of Axe talking about him being oh, my mental is degraded. I think some of that is what we call job stress.
But we've had a
man's plate. We're over 4 hours in the raw, by the way.
Yeah.
My water is gone, but I don't want to. speaking of the improv shit, right?
Right.
Don't want to do the don't want to throw the scene off the course. And hopefully because there will definitely be direct character interactions. Actually, that might be it. Axe said to me the other day that he operates on 5 hours of sleep like most time, and I'm like, that's not good. You need to sleep more. If you sleep better and get up more regularly, you will get more done in your day. Just think about Zach Hazard. It's amazing the things you can get done when you wake up at 6 a.m.
I'm still the fucking video Zach Hazard did of him going to Hope Depot just speaks to my soul so much. It was so good. It was.
I'm pretty sure that Zach Hazard is both somewhere in the attention deficit and somewhere in the autism spectrum. So the Home Depot video is very relatable.
No, just going there and just looking at, because I'm sorry. For context, I think it was yesterday. We played some supermarket and we just threw up some videos on the side because we pulled up Rubik Raptor's Voices of the Void, which are hilarious. But then Loth put in Zach Hazard's of him fighting zombie Kerfer, and then put in him going to bed. And I was just mesmerized by the Home Depot because I'm all like, oh my god, I know this exact fucking feeling going in for like 2 items and then grabbing a bucket and filling it up with just other shit. And then forgetting the original. Oh god, like I knew the moment when he forgot the gloves. I knew of the moment. Oh,
yeah, I know. Well, and I'm pretty sure because the audio is good, I'm pretty sure he like ADR'd that after, like he just took the footage and then narrated over it. But you have that moment where you're like, wait a minute, he didn't talk about the gloves. So like, no, and that's why I threw it in the thing, because we were winding down, and I was like, yeah, no, there's that moment where it's like, no, the people are gonna find the guys in this call are gonna find this relatable. Like, what did he call it? Just a trip to the store, yeah. So it's like completely innocuous, but it's like a 5-minute video, and it's just like, yeah, it's great. But yeah, we'll be back in Rain. We will have character mentions, and like you said, we'll have some more follow-up questions, because like I said, I did, again, not sleeping great because the allergies are kicking my ass. The allergies are also kicking my ass, so like, not all of the writing I wanted to get done for Rain I got done this week, but yeah, definitely we should be raining Sunday. Worst comes to worst, I'll beg, borrow, or steal some allergy meds ahead of time. Like I said, it was a little distracting, but I've been better today. But like, you know, Lucky, you talk about how like sometimes you hear stuff and you get up and pace back and forth. Like that's me when I roll over like new scenes and new ideas. So like, you know, and I have some of these moments for future shit we're not at yet, and I have some of this stuff for like what's right around the corner. And I'm just like, these moments of just like, okay, I had a vague idea what they would find here, and now I'm just like rolling the scene around in my head. And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, do that too. So like, I got more of that writing to do, but Rain will continue. The audio's or the video's uploaded. I need to post the audio, so it'll probably be Sunday again, so it doesn't overlap too much with this.
Sunday.
I do think YouTube doesn't like it when we upload too many things the same day. Algorithm doesn't know what to do with that. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But we'll wind it in now. Like I said, we've gone for about 4.5. It's 2 a.m. I do need to rest some more and drink some more water.
Hydrate. Well,
it's important because you guys heard how much sneezing and sniffling I did yesterday during supermarket, right?
Like, oh yeah, you were dying.
You cannot believe the amount of water that was leaving my body in the form of mucus. Like, it was bad yesterday. It was very gross. So, like, today I'm, like, dried out and thirsty. But we'll wrap it up. So, like I said, I'm calling my shot. Next week, either Paper Moon will be live as we record next week's show, or it will be about to go live. Honestly, I don't know what Vintage Story 3 is going to look like.
No, but like I said, I think we're waiting for the next major update so we can get more out of our experience. And maybe actually do the story next time. But it is one of those, like, we're not playing it right now. I am still keeping an eye on it. Same with, like, Schedule 1.
Yeah, Schedule 1 had a cool update just now, but not enough to pull us back in. Like, a new storage property that sounds interesting. And, like, it's not enough to carry a playthrough, but they added a jukebox to play all of the music and added new music to the jukebox. And I'm like, that's cool. No, like I said, Paper Moon should be about a week from now. So it'll be live like either like Thursday night or like tonight. So we'll see. But yeah, keep that in mind. So we'll be back with that next week. I will work on a wanted. I suspect the second wanted will be much more in demand than the first wanted, but I'll keep up trying to punch out videos for y'all, chat. I mentioned already, check us out streaming. Basically, Tuesday is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Slot, Wednesday is the 14 slot, and Monday is our whatever slot. Currently, that's Sly 2. Which is going pretty well. But also, we still got plenty of Sly 2 to cover. Let's see, we're in the middle of the second area, so, like, we'll definitely get that done, and I hope we can finish the third area. So that one's got a good thematic puncher to end a stream on. So we'll see about what's going on. Yeah, I'll double check that. I turned off DVR, so wasn't really dropping frames, but sometimes the YouTube end does get a little off. I should actually double check to see if it actually like stuck, or if that was all just while it was live, because like the archive might be cleaner. Anyway, check out Slide 2. That'll be Monday. Rain, like I said, will probably be Sunday. If you're watching this video on YouTube, like it, leave your comments down below. You can also join our Discord for all that fun Discord stuff. There is a joke there, but I'm not even gonna make it. I had a thought, but I'm like, nah, I don't want people to take that seriously, so I won't even voice it out loud. But subscribe, ring the bell, so you know when I post that wanted video, because I'm going to warn you, it'll probably be like in the middle of the night during a maintenance. You can join our channel memberships to get access to membership badges and emotes. If you got gifted a membership recently, have fun with that. And you can support us on Patreon, like our finest patrons, such as Adam DeHart, Black SOG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JDV9000, Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Rise of Kenji, Rogram, and Trevor, and Varian the Crow. Thank you very much for your patrons at all levels. Support us at as little as $1 a month or $10 a year to get access to the audio version of this show, downloadable, and at other levels, enjoy other fun stuff, and it really helps support us. That is everything. We will see you guys next week for more Let's Talk FGO. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.